pretend, say it again. Who's in this left to win? See it in the black stars of their eyes. I know there's nothing there for me, and I know there's nothing good. It's hard to be him without the crowd, even though I think I know. Looking for inspiration in all the wrong places. Chemical fascination finds our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. You know I said the horse is dead and broken, beaten, bitter end. You realize in the curtain colors now. Well, I don't wanna give it away, cause nothing in this life is free. Nothing the way you can say no how. Well, I know nothing there for me, and I know nothing real. Short line to the ride to end your life, knowing you break the working time. Looking for inspiration in all the wrong places. Chemical fascination finds our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Looking for inspiration in all the wrong places. Chemical fascination destroys our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Looking for inspiration in my life. Looking for inspiration all the time. Looking for, looking for, looking for, looking for. Hey!
And how we doing out there, ladies and germs? It's a another rendition of Spline Design Studios Saturday, coming to you a little bit late. Power outage here got me delayed here a little bit. I had totally expected to start in time here, and yeah, just collecting myself here as far as getting things going here. I noticed the uptime's not working again. Let me get that fixed real quick. Hope everybody's doing well on this little bit soggy Saturday here. Me this day. Let's see. Getting ready to get into the thick of this here, I guess, as far as let's go that. Start that up. Alright, so uptime might be a little bit off, but that's okay. Do this intros and whatnot, so alright. I think we're good. Hopefully audios are coming over good. Definitely if they are a little bit too noisy, feel free to let me know and I'll adjust those accordingly. Appreciate that. Still kind of tinkering, I guess, as far as working out all the bugs for the audio systems based on the new and repaired PC. So yeah, there's that. So let's see. Alright, so we got Max is loaded up here, and what I felt to go back over again is the continuation, the creation process of that Big Hoss big screen TV for the Texas Motor Speedway track build for NASCAR Racing 2003 season. Yeah, so I think that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and bring this over. Without further ado, we're already running a little bit late here, so I'm going to get these things on. Let's go! Alright, so let's get this loaded up here. So we should have a scene for that saved. And from what I can recall, and some of y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things that I kind of hit on was being able to center your object based on a group, even though you've built it in a different orientation other than the World Zero as far as 000, as far as XYZ. I did some playing around with that, I guess, as far as post-fact of that stream. And there's definitely a way to do that. It's just, what it basically would come down to is you could move each individual piece, take the group, move it to 0, and then each individual piece after you move it, center and orient that particular object in a group. You can ungroup it and then put those things into position based on the 0. So there is a little bit more work to do in that fashion, but it is totally possible to do that. You got a torch coming on in. Alright, so the bot is up. Cool. Oh, something else I want to make a little bit clearer too. So a lot of the sound alerts that were able to be redeemed in the chat bot, it's in the chat itself, they're all now available freely. Much the same as it was in the chat bot, based on sound alerts. So on the channel, might have to scroll down a little bit, I guess, below the player, if you're watching it on mobiles in particular, but regardless of that, if you scroll down just a little bit, I kept it up towards the top as much as possible. All those same audio alerts, as far as those redemptions even, are right in that little sound alert thing, so you can just hit on it, or not literally hit on it, but I mean just click on it or whatever, and it should allow you to play that sound, and it doesn't cost you anything. Like I said, is much the same as it did previously, I guess, as far as being in the chat bot. Since I haven't been, this has been my solution, I guess, to not the sound alerts as far as the moo. That seems to be very popular. Don't seem to want to play it through the chat bot anymore. It's on the Streamlabs side of things. There's not much I can do about it, apparently. So my next best bet, and solution, as I mentioned, was to put those into a sound alert panel on the channel. You have to, like I said, might have to scroll down a little bit to be able to get to it, but they are still there. And then there are also the channel points redemptions that are right next to the little red drop. I guess as far as where you type in the text in the chat, you can always redeem your units of fluids for a minimal cost of 100 per redemption on those custom sound alerts in there. So there's some in that region, I guess, as well. So just wanted to put that out there real quick, just to let everybody know that that's been my resolution, my solution to figuring out how to get these sound alerts, these little sound clips, I guess, to be able to play it on the stream. So, and as I've always mentioned, you can feel free, I guess, to use those for your own entertainment, and in some cases, depending on the situation, at my expense. So, okay. Let's get this thing loaded up here. So, yeah, we do have a scene here. Let me bring this back over just to kind of show you what I'm looking at. So we do have a scene that we did save for this based on last time we streamed this. This was on the 10th of July. We had to skip last week, obviously. Have some prior engagements, I guess, to deal with there, but yeah, it was really bumming me out there for a minute there. I wasn't sure if the power was going to come back on due to that storm cell that came through there. I'm glad it did. I still got some makeup to do, I guess, as far as the stream that I missed for the last Saturday. So, still keeping that in mind. But we do have a scene right here based on what we did last stream, because as far as dealing with the big Hoss, the big screen TV for Texas Motor Speedway. So I figured we'd go ahead and continue with that. There were some adjustments we had to make. very slight. But as I also mentioned, as far as being able to center orient that, it will be possible. I'll probably just leave it in the orientation that it is, based on most of the objects that are in the track that Torch has made and constructed for the build seem to be built in the position that they are in reality, you know, as far as based on the LiDAR. So probably just keep it that way. So let's got lost here. So Torch, I got your own folder here. Got the 2020 build, and we're gonna go by this scene, which was from a couple weeks ago at this point. Torch almost getting that slot right off the bat there too. You missed it by 1. 10 units of fluid per play on the slots. Call them dime slots, I guess, if you want. Don't know why this still keeps coming up, but that's okay. So there's our big hoss that is in position here as far as where it is in actuality, you know, as far as based on the LiDAR and so on. We've already got it to scale. We've shown that it is in its element in the sim itself. And probably the only other thing that would need to be adjusted besides the clipping that we did notice between the animated frames and the static structure are the images themselves. They are out of date. This is based, these pictures, frames, you know, all 52 of them are based on the 2015 build, which, you know, the fact that we're now in 2021, they're a little dated. So one of the things that we do need to adjust on this thing here, I got this grouped here, I believe. Yep, I still got it grouped. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup it. And then we should have those 2 items here. So this is where our animated frames reside in the plane 01, and that, as I've mentioned last stream, that is specific. So whatever you name this, based on the scripting for this there, you have to carry that over into that. So whatever you name this is going to be important as far as that. Not necessarily the static structure, but the animated frames, which this one happens to be plane 01. So we're going to select this, and what we needed to do, as I've mentioned, and you can even notice this on this structure, if we zoom out, maybe not so much here, I might have to open up the sandbox and you can see it a little bit more. Doesn't do it so much this way, but in sandbox it definitely was, and I'm gonna go ahead and open that just to verify, I guess, as far as that. We already did notice that last time, like I said, so I do need to make an adjustment to that. So let's let me bring up the sandbox here real quick. That should be, I can't remember where I put the darn thing. I was able, and this is something I mentioned last stream as well. If you're using the sandbox utility, that well, we came to the conclusion of it. If you don't have any shared items in your track, you know, as far as the unpack shared folder requirement to get sandbox to load the track, if you don't have any items in the shared whatsoever, you don't need to have that. So you can still open the track as long as everything's unpacked as far as the PTF and all the files related to it. You can open that via sandbox. So that was something that we came in there. So that's a really good tidbit of information. That is, it all depends on how your track is built. Like I said, if you've got shared items that are connected to your track build based on the PTF, you will have to have that open, you know, unpacked and follow that same requirement. But in this case, we didn't have to. So let's, I'm just gonna remember what the heck I did with the track. 7, 9, 21, this must be this one right here, yep. Yep, so here we go. Let's do that. Okay, so we got our save for, here, let's bring this over. Yeah, so what we've got here is from last time here, we do have a couple of PTF saves based on the position, you know, bringing in that new screen, the big hoss into the track. We've tested it and so on. We're gonna load that up here just by double clicking it. And keeping in mind, I'm loading this right up from just the unpacked track. There's no, I don't really have a track directory of sorts. Although I do recommend, as far as like if you're gonna get in, you know, involved with this type of thing on the regular, it would behoove you, I guess, to do that. That way you've got that structure. That way, if you do need to bring in shared items, Because there are some that you can necessarily still refer to in the shared folder. And again, that requirement would be necessary, I guess, as far as you have that unpacked, as well as your track and so on, so you can open those items in the sandbox. So, just a fair mention. Alright, so we got the track loaded up here, and this should have this is the EPTF related to having our big hoss in here, so there should be. So if we pan out on this, you can see how it's clipping. See how it's kind of like tearing, and that's because it's a little too close to the static structure, and that's what we want to correct. We don't want to see all this clipping if we can help it there. See how it's kind of rippling across there like that? So we just need to lift that that frame up just a tad, not too much, just to kind of remove that a little bit. And we've already got this lifted pretty well. It's pretty well lifted so far as it sits, but I think a little bit more isn't gonna hurt too much. Yeah, so you can kind of tell. Really have to look at it, but there is a little bit of a lift of that man-animated frames there. Not a whole lot, but if we go up just maybe a tick more on the model, because as far as based on our model in 3ds Max, I think that should correct that problem. So let's go ahead to that. We're going to zoom in on that. We got it highlighted. Let's do this. And with that highlighted, we got it selected, like I said. And let's go ahead and tick this out on the y-axis here. See, this is our y, our z, which is our up and down, and our x. We want to bring it out on the y, so I'm going to go up just a tick, like so. I might go a couple ticks. You can see it move just ever so subtly. We'll go a couple ticks on that. So I moved it up just a couple ticks. Very subtle. It should be well enough, because as far as where it's not going to create, any too much obvious, I guess, as far as that it's lifted off the main structure there. Okay, so with that completed, we will be able to I'm gonna go ahead and save the scene like it is. I'll go ahead and regroup this, save it, and then it'll be our new starting point with that ticked out there, and then we'll go from there. Always good to save the scene, I guess, as far as from one starting point there. That way, if something goes wrong, you can always have something to come back to. So I'm gonna go ahead in my items list. We're going to select these two items and regroup it. Let's go ahead and group that back up. And for now, we're going to leave it at that. And I can always rename it up here. So, and you can rename it either way. It doesn't matter. So we're just going to go. What did we name that item? I'm trying to remember what we named that. Let me go back to our track here. And we ended up naming that. We named it something LG. It was video screen LG, I believe it was. That should be in the V's. Yep, there it is right there. So video screen _ LG. Alright, so we'll go ahead and name it as such. We'll go video screen _ LG. Just for reference in here. And then that'll be where we'll save it as. With that ticked out with all that. Should note there. So that should have that as a group. Our items list, which we do. Nice. Let's go ahead and save that scene. Save right over top of that one. Cool. Alright, and then once that's saved, I'll go ahead and take out everything else of this out of the scene and isolate just the grouping of that of our video screen, and then we'll be able to export the independent 3DSs for that, so that we can bring it into our Max 5. And hence be able to bring in those 3DSs into Max 5 and export to pass files and so on and so forth. A little bit of a process there. Some of that's review, but it's a very good review, I guess. So what I want to do, zoom this out here. So I'm going to go into unhide all items. I'm going to get everything out here and isolate just that group for the video screen and take those out. So let's go like this. So now we got everything that's in the scene. Here, we're going to go ahead and select all. Isolate just the video screen. We want to maintain that. Delete that out. Now we got just this here. We're going to leave it right there. We're not going to move it. But then what I want to do is ungroup it again. Get both items. And then you can do it in whichever fashion. What you what you would need to do is export each one of these items out as a 3ds, and we've got that saved by let's go back here, back this way, and we should have alright, what did I do with, hold on, STE, so what did we name? Okay, I must not have moved that over to this folder, okay. Ah, crap, I can't remember where I saved all of our information for. Alright, gotta backtrack here a little bit. So we got her on that track. Just gotta backpedal here a little bit. So this was all what Torch had given me. Alright, what in the world did I do with my, Alright, hold on a second, I gotta find out where I did put that at. I can't remember where I put all the raw files for our video screen. Just a second, just a moment. I know they're here somewhere, just gotta remember where I put it. I had to do a lot of cleanup on the desktop there, that's for sure. I don't think I put those... I could swear I put it in Torch's folder, but I guess not. Alright, let me put those... modeling... mesh items... Okay, here we go, I found them. Found them! Alright, let's go ahead and bring this back. Found them! There we go. Had to remember where I put them. So here's the video screen, and here's all the raw files for it. So what we need to do is for the screen itself, so this is going to be the animated frames, that 3ds, and then we got the 3ds for the static structure itself, and then we'll need to produce those new pass files. Okay, so let's go ahead. And if I'm moving too fast at all, definitely call me out on it, and you'll say, "Whoa, they're high speed." You know, that's what those sound commands are out there for. Kind of get my attention there. If I tend to just move along a little too fast, yeah, just definitely call me out on it. If you got a question on anything, feel free to ask. As far as like what I'm doing, I'll be more than happy just to try and explain what's going on. All right, so what I need to do is we'll bring up this back over here. So now that we've got our items here, I'm gonna go ahead and export this out as jumbo screen. That's our animated frames. And then we'll do the, so I can point this, let's go ahead and do this, isolate that, and then export that out right the way it is. We're not gonna do anything special to it as far as changing the orientation of it or anything like that. Let's export it out, and we're gonna point it right to this folder where we've got all those raw files for our model, 3ds, and then we want to use 3ds, jumbo screen. Overwrite that. Yes, we do. Not worried about that. Okay, so that's one item. So now I'm going to go ahead, do an undo, bring everything back. Now we need to isolate just the static structure portion of it. So we can take this one out, isolate that, export that out as a 3ds. Right there. Very good. Not worried about this now. Like I said, this is a review here. It's going to tell you, I guess, as far as because of the 3ds format, you can only name the format for the naming conventions on that can only be like 8 characters. So it's going to tell you that this is going to rename that. Doesn't matter because we'll be able to rename that. You don't apply what we want it to be named as far as based on the pass export. So that's not going to be too much of a concern to us. All right. So with those 2 files re-exported, I want to verify that that's taken place. So we've got, yep, there's that one. And that one, cool. But now what we can do is we can close out Max. Reset out of this, and we're going to open Max 5 and open up those 3DSs that we just exported. So we can produce our pass file. Okay. Whoops. In the world. Scenes. Oh no. There we go. Got my scenes all messed up there. Sorry about that. I get a little bit of a dance party there. Some of you might all appreciate that, I suppose. Alright, so what we need to do is open up Max 5. Let's get this loaded up. Give this a second to load up. But How's everyone been doing anyway? Just kind of, I've been a little bit on, you know, just running around like a chicken with my head cut off here lately. Just lots of things going on there. We got things going on with the last, what will be considered the last rendition of the Dairyland map for Farm Sim 19. Hopefully that should be coming out at best there. Hopefully by the beginning of August is my best hope, but that may change. So turn this down just a little bit. I feel like the audio getting a little bit of a spike on the background music, so turn that down just a tad. And if that is too low, definitely call me out on it. Okay, so we got Max 5 open here, and we're going to import the 3DSs. Because of the format, we have to do it as an import, not necessarily an open, because it's not a scene. Alright, and so we want to point to 3D modeling, mesh items, Texas items, 2020, video screen, 3DS. So we'll do the static structure first. This is the main structures we want to completely replace and do not convert. Open that up, and we'll just maximize this window. A couple things we need to do is make sure that the name of our model is what we want it, which adjust this a little bit. So this is going to be video screen underscore LG. Okay, so we'll get that named what we want it. The orientation should be fine. Okay, so let's flip it around this way. So the fact that I'm just moving that in the viewport, I'm not changing the integrity of the positioning of the model, right? It's just in the viewport. Make that a little bit clearer. So now we want to go into material editor and apply the texture to it. Oops, that's not what I wanted. So go into our little material slot, and we've got this texture. We want to make sure we use the TGA because that is what has the alpha channel to provide transparency to the model. So the fact that this does come up on the bottom here as far as image alpha, that means we do have the correct image. And we want to apply that physically to the model like so, and it's still going to show that magenta or that pink on there, just based on the rendering. That's not critical. It'll have that masking and the transparency in the model once we export it via pass. Okay, so with that all done, that should be good. We're going to export this model as a pass file, and we'll probably just go ahead and overwrite the ones we previously had, just like we did the 3DS models. So we'll go this way, Texas 2020, video screen 3DS. This time you want to change this to pass, which is a PAPI export. Okay, we want it as this one. Yes, we want to overwrite that, and just to confirm that it did overwrite that, over here, and this should be voila. So that one's done. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and delete this model, and I'm going to import next jumbo screen. Go like this. It's going to tell me this. Now this is where it comes into, I don't want to completely replace it, then I'll have to re-navigate to where the model is and all that jazz. So it's better in this sense to just choose merge like so. Now I'll bring it in here. Same orientation. I'll have all the same, you won't have to redo as far as the viewport and all that stuff. Material, all we got to do is change the material. We won't have to point to that, as far as the digging, especially if you got it in a different location like I do. In some cases it might end up being you've got them readily available where it's not that far, I guess, to dig for it. But that's just another little shortcut I guess to take as far as to merge as opposed to resetting the whole scene. Alright, so we've got this one here. We want to name this, yes, Plane 01. As I said, this is critical the way we've got it scripted. It calls for that specific mesh name for these animated frames on this piece. So what we want to do is apply that physically to it. Image is applied, cool. Don't need to do anything more to it, so we're going to go ahead and export that out as a pass file. See, we're already in that directory. As opposed to resetting the whole scene, as I mentioned, so it's like it's all right there. If you've got several pieces that to do in this fashion, it works very well, I guess, as far as it's to do that merge like that, as opposed to just resetting the whole scene and have to, you know, re-navigate to everything and repopulate as far as where all this stuff is, these things are located. So we want to export that out as that. Yes, we want to overwrite it, and we'll go and confirm, which is right here. Perfect. Now we've got all the files that we need. Just making that slight little adjustment to the, mainly this file, you know, as far as the animated frames, but as a whole, now we've got all the pieces that we need. So what we can do here is put this in our Make 3DO directory, which is the next thing I'll navigate to. So we'll open this up in a new window, and I'll navigate to, I like to keep, as I've mentioned before, and I'll keep saying it, because that is still considered a program, I like to keep the Make 3DO in my programs directory. In this case, the x86, because I am running it. This system here is still running on a Windows 7, so yeah. All right, so we want to put all the files that we need to create our new 3DO into there. So that's going to require the pass files, 2 of those, the script, the texture for each piece. So we got the texture for each piece, the script, and the 2 pass files at minimum. Copy all that to our Make 3DO directory, like thusly. There we go. And now we can run our command prompt, you know, to get to this directory so that we can export that based on that script. So let's bring up a command prompt. We'll do search for that, CMD. Bring up a command prompt like so. And what we want to do is navigate to this folder. So we want to do change directory, backslash, and then do another change directory to, now there's a little shortcut, and it is a little, again, very much review, very good review. So we can copy everything to the right of the drive. So we're already in that directory. So like this, we can copy it, go right back to the command prompt, and paste that into here. Press enter. Whoops, what did I do? Oh, I said I did wrong. I know what I did wrong. So we gotta do CD, my bad. CD backslash, paste that, and I got too many backward slashes in here, so I gotta take one of these out. So the way I copied it is all it comes down to. So we just wanted to CD backslash to that directory. That should get us where we need to go. Oops. There we go. So now we're in that directory. Now all we got to do is call the program itself, Make 3DO. And because we're using a script, we want to use -s, and then the name of the script, which is video screen underscore LG. Video screen underscore LG, and then .psg. And we don't have any other parameters to it, like environment map as far as the reflection map or anything like that. So that's all we need. So we spit that out, and we got an error. What have we got, an error? Did I not correct that? I must not have. This happened last week too. I must not have corrected that properly. So on line 15, I think that's the same line too. So I must not have adjusted that properly. I still got this dated. Nope, I sure as heck didn't. Okay, so no problem. This will make good review. Good review. So I've got it set up by default to open up a notepad on these files. So what I can do on line 15, and what might give you more clarity, and I think I've mentioned this before too, if you've got Notepad++, I highly recommend it, because it'll give you much more information. So let's go ahead and do it this way. It'll give you line numbers, so it'll give you a rough idea as far as what it was calling for. So it said on line 15, but it looks like it might be a line off. So it was looking for screen. So it's actually reading this line right here. See where it says screen? So the fact that in video, I don't have this name screen, that's probably why it's yelling at me. So in that pass file for that, we've actually got it called, this is where it's critical, because as far as how you name your items in here, because the mesh that it's looking for based on that pass export has to match. And if they don't match, that's why you get an error as far as trying to run it. So the fact that it's looking for screen as the name of the mesh file, all I got to do is just rename this, because we renamed it as video screen underscore LG. Now I could go back. In fact, I'll probably go through that motion. I can rename our static structure there as screen, and then we won't have this problem, and then we won't have to adjust the script at all. So there's one of two ways that you can adjust this. So I can go ahead and rename this mesh here under this container here as video screen underscore LG, or I can go back into Max 5 here. What did I do with it? I can go back into Max 5 here and bring back, you know, re-import that 3ds and rename the actual shape. Instead of video screen underscore LG, I can rename it screen, and then I'll get rid of that that error. So there's one of two ways I can go ahead and do that. I think for the sake of argument here, I'm gonna go ahead and just rename and adjust it here in the script itself to, let's go ahead and do this just to kind of prove. All right, so let's back this up here. So we're gonna rename this to video screen. Now, keep in mind, this is not the name of the 3ds itself. It's the name of the mesh. That shape, as far as, you know, again, just to kind of reiterate, it's the name of what you put in here, not how you save the 3ds itself, the name of the 3ds. I want to make that very clear. It just so happens to be I named that shape or that mesh, as far as based on, you know, the name of it that way. I named it the same as the 3ds as well as the pass. So just for clarity. All right, so now that we've got it this way, and I've got this one, just want to make sure I got this. So I got this right in my Make 3DO. So I want to make sure, I think what I did last week, I did the same thing here. I edited the file in the Make 3DO, and I didn't retain that edited script into my file. So what I'll do before I go ahead and do this, sometimes I move a little bit too fast, and I know that. All right, so we'll go ahead and save this. This is in the Make 3DO directory. And then I'm going to copy this to our meshes here. So I know I've got that. That's what I did not do last time. So yeah, I did not save it into my raw file. This is why backups are nice too sometimes. Backups are kind of nice in that regard. So let's go ahead and rerun this with that adjustment made to the script. I'm going to use my F8, bring up all that so I don't have to type it all back in. Push the enter, and now it should spit it out. Simple as that. All right, so now if you've got 3D SimEd, you can definitely go ahead and open it up that way. You can also use the yeah, see, it's going to be in position here. Now, as I've always mentioned before, you don't 100% want to go by how it looks in here, right? Just the fact that it loads into this part, that's about the only thing you usually want to go by. So the appearance of it here may not necessarily reflect when you bring it in the track, for example. So I just want to make sure that's made abundantly clear, but that should all be there. Okay. The other way we can go about this is to use the View 3D that's built right into the Make 3DO. In most cases, you need to have the MIP file in there as well, not just the raw TGA and or bitmap or what have you. But what I'm going to do is, for the sake of that, I'm going to take this first screen here, the jumbo screen 1, which is going to be what it's attached to, and then initial model for the 3DO. Copy these two items into the Make 3DO, like so. Okay, now we should be able to open up View 3D. So from the same directory as the Make 3DO, I'm going to type in View 3D. And basically what it'll do is anything that is in the Make 3DO in the form of a 3DO model, it should open it up. Might make a liar out of me, but okay, so maybe I do have to go up into, okay, it's all right. Well, that tells you something there. So I got to actually go to that directory. So let's go cd /, no problem. And then what we'll do is go to, should be able to paste this in here. Let's go back one level. This is what we need to get to in here. So we need to get to this directory. So we'll copy to the right of that. Copy that. Paste this into here. Now you're probably going to add another, yep, so I got to take that one out. Got to be a little bit knowledgeable, I guess, as far as how MS-DOS works. So we want to get to that directory. Now we're in that directory. Now we can do the View 3D. I'll type that in there. That should pop it up. So this is what brings it up there, and then from here I can load that model. Let's load object, and we want to load that out. It'll automatically, in most cases by default, go to the make 3DO directory, and anything that's in the form of a 3DO in that directory, you'll have a option to be able to select it. Did not load. So what? Something happened. So if you get this happening as far as trying to load it in 3D, then you'd know there's definitely a problem. This is the same thing as far as if I was to try and bring the object into Sandbox. So definitely this is there's an issue here. I'm not sure why. We'll have to look into that. I think we had these same problems before too. Yeah, it did. The View 3D have a problem there. So let's see. We gotta do some investigating here as far as to see what we did wrong with our model here. Let's go ahead and open it up in Notepad. Let's see what we got here for textures. Something happened in the I seem to recall we did have this problem before, but I don't remember what we had to do to fix that. Can't remember now. Okay, so let's do a find, and let's look for all of our MIPs. Let's see what MIPs we got in here. We should have the 52 frames as well as the static image. Oh, helps if you type it in right, you dummy. I put MUP instead of MIP. Big dummy. Alright, so there's for the static image. And then we should have all the frames, 3, 4, all the way through 52. Interesting. Yeah, I was wondering why it was coming up pink on the screen. And that might be where our problem in lies. Possibly. Alright, so yeah, that actually looks good from that direction. Let's go ahead and delete this because we know there's a problem with it with View 3D opening it up there. So... oh, you know what? It might... I know what it is, dummy. So, because of the way we constructed it, I just confirmed that as far as when I opened that all up there, it had all 52 frames. So we're going to have to bring all the MIPs that are related to that 3DO into that so that View 3D can open it. That's why it said it couldn't load. And that would happen much the same way if you were trying to bring the model into Sandbox, right? If you don't have all the textures that are applied to it in much the same fashion, you'll get the same problem. So that's basically what it comes down to. So let's go ahead and do that just to humor it. We're going to bring in all these textures. We'll go ahead and highlight. I think I already got the jumbo screen in there, but that's okay. We're going to go up to 52. We're going to copy all that in there. Just to show, I guess, as far as how that View 3D works there. Yep, that one's already in there. That's cool. Now we got everything in here. I guess so we'll go ahead and recreate that... yeah, I'll just go through the process of recreating that 3DO, and then just, follow the same process there. I could probably go rummaging through my trash bin there and go get it, but it's better to do it this way. So let's do F8. We want to change directory back to make 3DO, so using my F8 shortcut. Okay, now we're back in that directory, and then I'm bringing my F8 up. And get the one for the script right there. So we'll go ahead and spit that back out. Boom. So now that should have made our 3DO, which is right there. Now we need to go back to... now we got all this stuff typed in here. All I got to do these are shortcuts now. We need to change directory back to Sandbox, which is right there. We'll go back to this directory and then type in... you can use the F8 or you can just do View 3D. So there's View 3D. Bring that up. Now it should load this. Yep, so it is loaded, but it's in position. And because of the size of this window, so the fact that I didn't get any error, that tells me that it should be okay. But there is modes in here that you can change the size. Let's see if I can do that. Let's do this, for example. Now, I cannot remember. Yeah, here's your... so a little bit of a help here. It gives you some information as far as how to move around. Now, because it's in the position, in reality, as far as the LiDAR, it's not at 0. So that's why it's not showing in the viewport here for the View 3D. So that's another reason why I like to zero out a lot of things. If you're going to use the View 3D in this fashion, it's not going to show this way. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult, I guess, to be able to get it into view. You can do that. There's all these motions here that you can use here, but it might be a little bit tough, I guess, to get it into view because there's no way to actually focus on that object, you know, as far as like a, you know, an F key or Z key or anything like that, as you can tell. So, but the fact that we didn't get any errors, that tells me it should be in good shape. So when I initially tried to load it in there, when it said could not load it and have all the textures. So now that I got it all in there and didn't get any errors, that tells me from that point it should be good. So we're gonna go ahead and close this. How we doing there, Lady Death? Welcome on in. Hope you're doing well. Just doing a little 3D modeling. So yeah, I was just explaining, I guess, as far as how these different applications work, I guess, to get things loaded there. I think we're good to go on this model, as far as with our adjustments to it. Just woke up not long ago. Yeah, and I keep forgetting that you're like 4 hours behind. You're 4 hours behind, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're a few hours, so you're like 2 in the afternoon, if I'm right. And correct me if I'm wrong. Way over there. 4 hours behind. Yeah, so you're about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So was that a nap, or was that considered, I guess, the actual sleep? Hey, pretty good guess, huh? See, I'm smart. All right, so let's take our 3DO. This is still our make 3DO directory. We're gonna cut this out, and we're gonna go ahead and put this over. Yeah, we're gonna put this. Go ahead and overwrite this one here. So we're gonna do paste. Yep, that's newer. Now, the only thing we need to replace in our track is this piece right here. Nothing else has changed other than the actual 3DO itself. I don't go to sleep till 7 this morning. You got, oh, okay. And you were up a while. You must have did some heavy partying then. You got shortly after 1. Yep. I'm feeling you. I get you. All right, so we need to put this 3DO, as I was saying, into our track folder, which is right here. We're gonna overwrite that, and then we'll reload that. We'll reload our track in Sandbox, and then we can check it out that way. So let's do paste, and we're gonna overwrite that. Yes, right there. Now we go back to Sandbox. We're gonna do a new, and then repoint to the track. Here, we can reload the same PTF that we had open prior to that, but in order to get that newly constructed 3DO to show, because there's no refresh button or whatever function in Sandbox, you have to just close out the track. Sometimes you even have to close out Sandbox altogether to get that new object to show. You just got on a wonky schedule. I hear ya. Yep, I've been there. I've been there, done that. I can totally relate. So what we want to do is take a look at our object this way. So we can pan this out. We can see if we get any clipping, as we were previously. So far, we're way out further than I guess than we were prior to making the adjustment, and I do not see any whatsoever, which is good. Very, very good. Yep. A little bit of a stutter there, but not nearly as much as we were. We were getting a lot of tearing. I still didn't figure out this problem here, Torch. I guess as far as I may need to get the canopies back from you again to see if I might just go ahead and try and open these. I think I got the 3DSs from you. I'm pretty sure I do. I might look at that myself just to see what's going on with it. But yeah, I still didn't figure that out. I did try to tinker around with that, I guess, as part of last stream anyway. And I didn't really see any issues there. I'm almost thinking it's probably texture related, but I'm not sure. So I think our issue with the video screen is fixed, I guess, as far as the tearing of the animated frames. I wanted to look up here closer, I guess, to see as far as how much of a gap we got on that now, because we did move it up only just like a couple thousandths of a ticks, and, you know, just to get it off the surface of the main structure here. So, and you can see all that retention of the transparent, you know, the alpha based on that image. And the fact that I don't see any magenta bleed in this at all. That's even better. Yep, so the gap in this is not that terrible. Not that bad at all. Very, not as noticeable as I was hoping it would be. So now where we're at is that's pretty much done, as far as I'm concerned. The only thing next to do would be to update the images that go for the frames of those, which is all 52 of them, so. Alright, so that much is done. Oh, Lady Death took a risk there. Oh, 97 out. Ouch. Gave herself a shot. And you were successful in that, so you got 32 of it back. So that's nice. Ooh, you missed the main jackpot there. You get all 3 robots there. That's 1,000 units of fluid. That's the most you can get. That's the highest jackpot. Missed it by 1. Missed it by 1. And just to clarify again, I guess I know there might be some of you that are slowly creeping down in here. As far as like that, I appreciate you stopping on in here. The sound, you know, all the different sound clips that I have in there, they're not in the bot anymore. As far as all the exclamation point, what have you, they are now in there's a panel that's just below the stream that are all free. They don't cost you anything, much the same as it did in the bot. You know, as far as the exclamation point, moo, and all that stuff. So if you ever want to use any of those are all right now. That was one of the channel points redemptions. And so if you got the channel points redemptions, you can also feel free to use those as well. Those cost you 100 channel points per redemption. And those sounds clips that are in the channel points are a little bit more custom. And by that, they're done either by myself and or friends, you know, our streamer friends. That one right there, that Lady Death you just redeemed there, that was our good. That was created by our good friend John Van Zombie. If you haven't checked him out already, he hasn't been streaming as of lately. He's been dealing with some stream issues himself there, but I'm gonna go ahead and shout him out. And feel free to check him out whenever he does come on. I think you won't be disappointed. He's a very funny guy. Very much likes the interactions, I guess, with yeah, he was playing some Final Fantasy last time he was on there. I know it's been a minute. It's been a hot minute since he's been on there, but that was one of the sound. He was actually playing one of his games. A little bit of a story here. He was playing one of his games, and I can't remember which one it was. It might have been World of Warcraft or something like that. And he was getting really upset, I guess, as far as what the way the character was you know, just maneuvering and stuff like that. It was a little conflict that he got into, and he made that noise, and it's just like I clipped it. I asked his permission or whatever. It's like, would it be okay if I turn it in there? He's like, as long as I can use it too. And I'm like, okay, fine. So he's got it on his channel as well, and that's why it's named John Horsefart, because it's totally very genuine, I guess, as far as what comes to that. He's got a couple more that I've got in the channel, the sound redemptions and the channel redemptions anyway. So feel free to use those, I guess, as far as like that for your 100 units of fluid, if you so care to want to do that. But also the free ones, the Moo, I mean, that's the one I know that's most popular, but they're all in below the channel, I guess, as far as below the stream, I should say. You might have to navigate down just a little bit if you're on mobile, but they are still there, and they're still free, just like they were in the bot. Just want to make that clear. That's been my solution to getting those back in there, since they didn't want to play in the bot anymore for some reason. And it's definitely what I've come to the conclusion of. It is a Streamlabs thing. So they apparently have adjusted some things that disallow that any longer. So I think what I'm going to do, as I was mentioning to you earlier, Torch, was to look at those canopies. And I think I'll look at that in the other version of Max here. Let me go to here. So what I want to look at, just in case anybody was wondering what the heck is he talking about, and we pointed this out last stream too. That's another reason why I want to bring it up here, because I think it's a good makes a good point. We want to take a look at what's going on with this jazz. So we got a little bit of a gap in here, and that shouldn't be the case. So either this needs to be right up to the blue here, or vice versa. So we want to take a look at that. And I've got these models, or these canopies, I think in the raw format that is 3ds. So I'm going to take a look at this here. Yeah, so these right here, I want to take a look at these in Max and see what's going on with those. So I'm going to close this out. We've got everything we need from that in Max 5 for now. Go ahead and reset that. No. And get out of that. We're going to reload Max 14. Switch this over here for a sec. Let's open we're going to keep this open here in Sandbox for now. Minimize some things here. Got lots of stuff open already. Amazing how many things it takes or whatever to get things rolling. It's kind of surprising. Alright, give this a second to load up. And once I get that loaded up here. Alrighty then. Let's see. So we got Max 14 loaded. Let's so because they are in a 3ds format, we want to import as opposed to open. So it's just going to take to navigate to that folder that we have them at. Got Torch's own folder here, and we want to go to here, 7.9, and we got now he's got these in chunks. So all these different canopies that are on top of the towers, you know, be it the stairwells and all that of the main grandstands there. He's got them pieced out here, so he's got them in 3 parts. We're going to open just one of these for now. I do want to completely replace and do not convert. So here's one set. So from this level alone, I want to see what's going on here. What's going on here? So he's got a little bit of a taper on the ends there, I noticed there too. That's kind of neat. So this end, this would be the back side, I'm assuming, because it doesn't have any polys there. So this would be the part that faces the outside of the track. And so what I get here, and this is what I wanted to look at. So the fact that we don't see that separation there as we do there, so it's like this chunk right here is missing. So again, just to kind of give some clarity, let me put a material on this just to kind of give you an idea. So this uses the, whoops, wrong key. Materials. All right, so let's put a material on this just to kind of give you an idea what I'm talking about here. I can already kind of get an idea of what it is we're experiencing in Sandbox, and I think it might be texture related. It's just the way it's mapped, possibly. That's what I want to look at here. So let's do standard. Don't need to worry about that, and we need to get. Gotta remember which texture is applied to this now. That should be. Gotta navigate to it. Let me spread this out here a little bit. Torches folder. It should be this one right here. Yeah, Torch had adjusted this texture from this one. If you remember right, he took a lot of data out, which will leave him room, I guess, to be able to apply other things if he needs to later on. This has been adjusted, so the big chunk of space here can be used now. This should have an image alpha. Yes, it does. Nice. TGA. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and apply it to the model. So what we're missing is this white chunk on this side. So now that there's a texture on it, you can kind of get an idea of what I was talking about. That's why I wanted to look at it from this level. Whoops. Dadgummit. Let's see. Zoom back out on that. See if I can focus on... Here a second. Go to vertex. Go like that. And then we'll zoom in on that. So we can focus on... Let me put this on orthographic. Yep. So, again, now that we're focused on this, what we're missing, or seem to be anyway, in our model that we have on there is this chunk right here. So all these polys that are right here, we're missing that for some reason. And it's just kind of floating this end here. So just to give some clarity, let's go like this. See if I can put this side by side here. Alright, so let's do that. Do this. So what we're missing is this section right here. Now, as far as why that's happening, that's what I want to get down to the bottom of here so we can correct it if we need to. Alright, so Torch, I think I'd mentioned that he wasn't seeing this on his end, so it might be just what I've got. And what my thought was is probably where it's textured, and that's what I want to look at here. One way I can find out, as this is, with this like that, we can go do an unwrap, and I got my shortcut on here, and I can always get that through my rollout here, but I got a little shortcut up here for the unwrap. In that mode, I can go into this window. Now we can see all the parts that are mapped to include. Now if we apply this to the texture, okay, let's span this out here so we can see what's going on here. So we can see all the pieces that are mapped to the texture. Well, and that's what I was wondering too, but from what I'm seeing here, you only took out this chunk here, unless there was something more that you edited to the texture there, Torch. Then I might need to get that from you. But from what I can see here, from what I've got from you so far, I don't see. So what I can do here is, like, I'm thinking that's probably these right here. Those are mapped, not in an area that have transparency. So the fact that it's missing from that's kind of weird. Now, unless you had this previously down in this area, possibly, and that's what's been corrected. So it might just be a matter of I need to get the updated texture from you is all. And if that's the case, then that's a pretty simple fix. Because from what I got from the 3DS here, I just opened up the raw 3DS. It's definitely mapped the way it should be. You know, as far as to not have that section here. And now it's not even missing here. Let's go back to that camera view. It's not even missing on this end that I can tell. I think it's just a matter of the way it's mapped and or the texture. Yeah, so the other thing I notice here too now is there's a white section here as well as on this end that I have in this model. So I'm only seeing it on the one end. So you must have remodeled these canopies and I just don't have it. That's what it seems like. So, Torch, now that I got you in here, I guess if you want me to correct this, I can go ahead and do that. Unless you've got something that you want to to send to me, then we'll go from there. I'm not the one that likes to step on it, I guess, as far as if you've already got it done, then I'll just get it from you. I don't doubt that your models are right? And I'm already seeing that. The raw 3DS that you gave me, it shows that it should be right. So from what I've got here, I can re-export this, for example, and create a new model based on what I have without having to do anything else other than that. This texture is good. The fact that why your models are showing fine and mine aren't, I'm not 100% sure. I just know what I'm seeing here. It doesn't show correctly, I guess, as far as in Sandbox here, like this. So that's what I want to correct, is all. Yeah, either the models or the textures. Yeah, if you want to do it that way, that's fine too. I won't go any further with it. I just to give you that justification there. What I'm seeing here, as far as the 3DO at minimum, you know, for the model in Sandbox, is not relating to what I have, you know, as far as the 3DS. The 3DS looks fine, the way it's mapped and whatever to the texture, as I just shown. But for some reason, the 3DO is not. So it's looking like I just need the 3DO models of the canopies is all. And I can easily create those myself, but if you've already got those done, I'll just get those from you, as I was saying. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Now that we got that clarified, the next thing, you know, Torch, I haven't gotten with you, I guess, as far as like that. Is there anything else that's new that you've got that's completed as well? I guess as far as I can showcase in the track, or because I do have some things I could go over besides everything that I've done so far. Such things as like I've got the score tower that's in the infield to do. The main grain, you've got that under control, so I don't even need to worry about that. But I got the score tower here that resides. In fact, I can go ahead and reload up, I guess, that scene now that we've got this all clarified here. Let's go ahead and reset all this. And I'm going to open up that scene again. So I do have that score tower model that I can work on at least. Been busy with it. That's understandable. Been very understandable. I totally get it. Alright, so... Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into here. And go this way. No, we want to open up this scene. We're done with the video screen itself, so I do have other items that I could be working on that I have in the scene. At least I think I do. And if I don't, I can get them in there. So I can go from there. Alright. Lady Death using the rooster. That's one of the free ones there. Noise. It's good to know that those are working there. It says those don't cost you a thing. 0 bits, 0 channel points, so try to keep them the same as they were in the bot there, I guess before. Those don't work, Torch. That's what I was mentioning. I don't know if you caught that. So I've got the moo. If you need the moo, you have to kind of scroll down probably, especially if you're on mobile. I don't know if you're on PC or mobile. I've got them below the stream, right? So they're in a panel there, and they're all free. You can see the moo, the rooster, and so on. That's where they're now located. That's been my solution to getting those back in there. Well, Lady Death using that. You like that one? Did I tell you my brother? Oh no, you didn't. So you got that been dealing with. I'm sorry to hear that. I know you and I have talked, I guess, as far as off stream. I guess as far as all those issues with them. Last weekend, see, and I was off too, so that probably worked out for the better. Call it a blessing in disguise there, but yeah, sorry to hear that, Torch. Hopefully, if anything else there, the way I always usually like to consider it as far as like it's probably in a better place because I don't know, the way this world's going against lately anymore, it's crazy. The 17th, so that was last Saturday as well. Yeah, I was off for the 17th there. I had those prior engagements, I guess, as far as so I had last week off. I still got to make that up. Still got that on my to-do list. 58. Yeah, that's a young. Yeah, it is pretty young. But he had some complications there too. I won't go into details if you don't want me to, but that's from what you and I have talked about. He was not in the best of shape, for the lack of a better way to put it. Which is too bad. I mean, sometimes that's just the way it happens. That is the way things go. Yeah, so if anybody can necessarily verify, I guess, as far as that those, I know, Lady Death, you had done the rooster. That's one of the free ones that are in that panel that I was mentioning. So the moo, the pig, and all that stuff, that should all be in that panel. That's a red panel, I guess, as far as it's got all the names for it. All you gotta do is click on it and just confirm that you want to play it on the stream. And doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost you anything. 0 bits, 0 channel points, much the same way as it did with... Okay, so... One thing I did realize, I did not get my Discord back up there. So let me go ahead and bring that up. Right quick here. Let's do this. Now that I don't have to run all this other stuff, and by that I mean as far as like running all these other utilities and such like that on the one PC, it's pretty nice. That's one thing I've been greatly, and I guess while I'm on here, kind of a little shameless plug here, I guess, as far as like if you're not on the Rock Nation Discord already, !socials. We'll give you the link, I guess, as far as to be able to get on the Rock Nation Discord. I try to, that's where I communicate, I guess, as far as anything that's going on in between streams, especially this stream. The fact that I had some power outage and all this stuff, I had things to deal with. Did I not work? There they go. So it is social. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was plural or not. Thanks for checking it out. So there are all the links for the social medias there. The Rock Nation Discord on the first link there. I'm also on the Twitter, as well as our Spline Design Studios Facebook group page, which serves as our forums for our website. So yeah, I definitely, we get, we talk casually, just everyday life going on, I guess, as far as in the Rock Nation Discord, as well as I keep everybody informed. I do have an announcement section that lets you all know, I guess, as far as what's going on. The fact that I was potentially going to be postponed, which I was, for other reasons other than I totally was able to start on time, but we had some complications with weather and the power went out, all this baloney. So yeah, there you go. So what I was going to, so I don't have any messages yet. That's fine. I don't want to check in there. Nothing in there just yet. Okay. Alright, so what I want to do, as I was saying before, I've got some other things I could be working on that do still need to be created for the track, and I think I've got, this score tower, for example. So we still have this item that we can work on. And for the most part, it's pretty much already done as far as in a static status here. But we could animate it if we wanted to, because as far as to make it switch to being on to show like the numbered positions, as far as the cars, for example. And I think I gotta look at this here real quick. I've got it scripted as such because I've got both an empty texture, and probably a lot of this would have to be updated, but that could be easily done. I think I've got a I've got a texture layered template here. Let's open this up and see what's going on. Yeah, so we've got this, like this, we can edit any of this as far as the texture itself. We got this one for the numbers as well as the static deal there. So we can change these numbers here if we want. Yep, so yeah, we got some adjustments we can make there. And the script that I've got here, look through that, we've been on the theme, I guess, of looking at scripting things to get it to work dynamically, right? So it's, in order to do that, take advantage of that. So this one's pretty simple. So the fact that we're just calling up our score tower 01A pass, which is this file, and what we're having it do is we're creating a blank, which is the empty. So there's two separate pass files, one with it populated and one with not. And then what we basically do is say when we want those, either one of those to show, as far as which session, and then we combine that into one 3DO. Simple. Do we have a combine in here? Switch. Okay, so we don't combine it. All we're doing is we're segregating out which pass file actually shows during which session. So it's not combined necessarily, but it's just segregated, gets between which session. So one pass is related to it being during testing and so on, testing sessions, and one is for like race, which is this one here. So depending on which one, this one model will control, I guess, as far as which model, as far as based on the texture, shows at which session. So it's a very simple, very, very simple. And this is going back to our 15 build, right? This is back on the 15 build, so that goes back that far. So, yeah. Right on. So I've got that pretty much constructed. It would just be a matter of, I don't think I've got a 3DO for this, do I? I probably already got this in the form of a 3DO. I could probably just go ahead and put that in the track. It would just be a matter of adjusting the texture, get it to look like, I guess, how it does currently. So, yeah, that's all it would boil down to. Let me do something here real quick. All right. Yeah, so again, these results here are based on these numbers as far as the car numbers. These are based on the, I forget which race in 15. It was either the spring race or the fall race, and that's what those reflect. So those can be adjusted accordingly. We'd have to research the information, I guess, to see where the the finishing orders, as far as which car numbers were where, and to kind of go from there. I was looking to see if I actually have this 3DO. I mean, we could easily create a new 3DO with what we have here, without having to. It should this should already be constructed based on our 2015 build, but I can easily, with what I got here, I can easily create that new 3DO if I so desire. I have, as well as to create the MIP file for it as well, because I do not have that. Yeah, that might be something pretty good to go over. A lot of it will probably be review, but majority of it will be. Here, let me do this real quick too. Let me switch this just for a second. Don't want to see that mess, that's for sure. Let's do this. I'm going to adjust some things on this. This is going to be, what do we got? 7. Wow, this was nearly to date, almost by a couple months off here, because we are on the 24th of July of 2021. 6 years old. 6 years ago we did this build, 15 build. That's just amazing. It's been that long, and we're still crunching away at this stuff. Just amazing. Okay, so we're gonna do this. I'm just gonna adjust some lines on here real quick, like so. That way we can have this. So what I'm getting this prepared to do, here we go. So yeah, all I've done basically is just to get this prepped to be able to make our brand new, we'll make a new 3DO, a fresh 3DO, as well as a MIP texture. And the MIP texture would more than likely just, all it would entail is just to create the MIP based on a TGA. I think a bitmap actually will work just fine, because we don't have any alpha in this, right? There's no transparent areas of this model, so we don't need a TGA with the alpha channel. So this is going to be a very simple construction here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and clean out this here. That's our make 3DO. We've already got our model for our screen, our big screen, big hoss there, so we don't need a lot of this stuff in here. One thing I want to make sure is I don't take out these critical files, the make 3DO and the RTS DLL. Let's just highlight some items here. We'll take those out. Don't need that. I copied those over from our, we already still have those, so that's not a big deal. I already copied over, I'm just to confirm, I'm going to humor myself again. I want to make sure I save the edit to that. I guess because obviously I didn't last time. Let's do this. I just want to confirm that I do have that saved script in here. Yes, paste. Good deal. All right, so confirm. All right, so we got that saved, so we can definitely delete that. Just doing a little bit of cleanup just so we can practice up there, so we can do our score tower item there. And I'll go ahead and open that model up into Max just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. We can see it in Sandbox for sure, but okay, so get that one that way. So in Sandbox here, actually in Max, my bad. So we got this model right here. This is where it resides. And this is how it'll look empty, right? This is how it'll look empty. So in testing and so on, not necessarily race, this is how that tower will look on the end of pit road, right? So I think, let me double check here. I don't think I got this orientation for it, so I might have to export this particular model. Let me check the, double check and see what we got here, just to confirm. So here, score tower, and I think these are still based on the 50. I think so. Yep, these are still based on, so we're gonna have to make new ones anyway. So what I want to do is create new items here for 3DS and pass based on this orientation, right? Because we did do some, this is based on the previous stream that we had of this. We already rescaled this based on LiDAR. In fact, now that I say that, let's bring the LiDAR back in here and we can see that we've got this to the proper height, for example. So let me do an unhide. We'll just do some confirmations here at this point. Let's do that. Let's do unhide, and we want to bring out that LiDAR, which is this deal right here. This is that real world information that's freely available on the USGS website. So as you can see, that position of this score tower right where it needs to be at the proper height, give or take here. You could probably adjust it up just a touch. But as far as its orientation, it's right where it needs to be. All this information as far as that green, that is the where the score tower is located. So this is where we make use of that LiDAR information. As far as the real world information, you can see everything else that's in the position based on that as well. As far as the main grandstands, the score towers I just shown, the big house, the Lone Star Hotel, and so on and so forth. Not to mention the track geometry itself. That's the most critical piece, obviously. So what we can probably do on this model for the score tower is just kind of bump this up just a tad on this end. Now I can do this one of two ways. I could do this as a, I can do a, not a uniform scale, but a scale up on the Z by going this route. I could do it this route. So I can go like that, or I can just grab the top verts on here to kind of connect it. So depending on, yeah, so that's a couple ways I can go about it. So again, I can either grab it on the Z right here and just stretch it up here like so. That might be a little too much, but let's do an undo, bring that back. Or I can grab the model like this based on vertices. So it's on that. You can select all those top verts and then just scoot it up that way. I want to make sure I get off this way. I was on uniform. Gotta pay attention to the gizmos. So I've got all these top verts on this and here, so I can necessarily do like this. So either way, I can change the height of that. Okay, so I'm kind of playing around with this to see which method I want to go with. I might just go with the scale, uniform scale this way. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. But I want to deselect those verts so I'm not only uniform. I don't want to say uniform scale, so I'm not just scaling those verts that I had selected. I want to do the whole model. Okay, and I'm only wanting to do it on the Z. So with the uniform scale here, so this one here, there's two different options. This is uniform scale, right? And there's also, so uniform scale, it'll uniformly scale it in all directions, which I don't want to do. I only want to do it in the Z, which is the up and down. This is why I'm going to select this method and then just drag this up. But that's a little too much there. So what I'm going to do while I'm still in this tool, I'm just going to tick it up this way, a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time. You can see how that's enveloping that LiDAR. Lack of base, it's making it go away. So I'm just increasing the height of this model here like this, uniformly on the one direction. So everything that's in here, not just those top verts. I think I like this. I like this option better, to be perfectly honest. So with that being done, this is going to be the next save for the scene, whatever, as far as focusing, working on this model. Okay, so what I'll do, right on here, let's go to this. We're going to rehide the LiDAR. Don't need that in. That's a lot of data. It's a lot of data in there. You can see with all this highlighted, just to kind of give you a sense of what all this white that you see in here looks like snow. Those are all individual faces. You know, as far as there's like, we're talking millions of point cloud data, I guess, in this thing. There's no way you'd be able to put that into a model to be able to use that directly, I guess, as far as a model. There's no machine, even the latest machines that are out there would never be able to run that. Not even close. NASA's computers might even have a problem. Let's just put it that way. Maybe not, but that was probably what it would take. Anyway, just to kind of give you a little bit of idea of what's going on here. All this white that you see in here, that's based on the LiDAR, that's all that point cloud data. And that's real world information. Real world information. As far as topography, heights, scale, all that jazz. So we're going to go ahead and hide that. Now we're back to this point. And then what I'm going to do is save the scene based on this position. And this will be our new next starting point for the scene, is focusing on this model. Okay, we don't have anything to group up or whatever. It's just one simple model. that will change texture based on how we script it, as I was showing earlier. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and save this. Save this as our new scene. We're going to keep it the same name. Everything's still in here as far as that position of the big hoss and all that good stuff. So we're just changing the... So when we bring... If you ever open the scene back up there, it's going to be focused right on this model. That's going to be our new starting spot. You know, it's very... I feel it's very important, I guess, to have a good starting point, so that way, if you ever have to come back to it at a later point, like, I've taken at least a good week off of, you know, from when we last streamed, I guess, doing anything with this. When I open the scene up there, I can know exactly where I left off, regardless of how much time that I've taken between all these different projects that you got going on. So when you're in that realm, I guess, of you know, as far as this organization of workflows and whatever, as far as projects that are going on, it helps, I guess, to put yourself in a site. So now if I close this and reopen this scene as I just saved it, it'll load up this way, and I know exactly where I ended up, where I was last. So that's where it can be a definite help, I guess, as far as in that fashion. Alright, so now what I want to do is isolate just this model. So take everything else out. Now that I got it saved, and I've got that starting point for anything we do beyond this point. If we screw up, we can always reload that save scene and start over again. Okay, so let's do unhide by name. We're going to unhide all this stuff that we've got hidden. Now we've got everything in the list. Wait, did I not? Unhide by name. I got to do select all. Like that. Now we got everything in the scene. Now we just need to isolate that score tower. I said, so we want to do select all again and isolate just the score tower. Take everything else out. Okay, so now we're just at this point. Now what I want to do, I should have done that before. Because I adjusted this, in fact I might go back. Yeah, I think I am going to go back. So let's prove this point that I've just said about saving the scene and having a new start point. You know, for that, we're going to start over. We're going to say we screwed up at this point, which I did. What I want to do is reset the X form on this because we did change the height of it. It's best to get into the habit of resetting the X form of it whenever you manipulate the model to any degree. It doesn't matter if you're changing the shape of it, orientation. Always reset the X form so that way you know it's going to be tight, you know, as far as the bounding box around it, if you want to call it that. So at this point here, like I said, we're just going to pretend that we screwed up. We want to start over. So what I'm going to do right from this point, this is good practice. I'm going to do an open. I don't want to save this, and then just reopen this scene. Might take a second, but there's a lot of information into it. But it should load right back into where I saved that position of that score tower. There we go. So now we're right back where we started. The fact I get that error for that grandstand, I'm not 100% sure why. I know everything's there, so I just kind of leave it alone. So now we're right back to square one. So now what I want to do while I've got it in this position, just highlight the image of the model. It's already has an editable poly, so that's good. I want to go to my hammer and reset X form. Since I changed the height of that. That was the main reason for this. So we want to reset selected. And then check our, so this is what we want to see. We don't want to see out of shape as far as out of kilter. If it was that way, then we'd have to make sure that we definitely apply this. So the fact that it's not, we've already confirmed that this reset of the X form is fine. Okay, so we can collapse that to all. Yes. So we don't need to apply it again to make sure that it is. I'm not sure why that's hesitating, but we'll give it a second. Oh, baby. Don't fail me now. What are you doing? I guess what it's got to do is it's got to... Everything in that scene, it's got to read everything in the scene, even the stuff that's hidden to include that LiDAR. So there's a lot of information here. We're talking over... it's a half a gig of information in this scene because of that LiDAR. So that's probably why it's hesitating just a little bit. Lady Death checking her hours. The show is on. She's almost on 40 hours. Nice. You almost got a full paycheck there. A full 40 hours in almost. Very nice. Appreciate all that time here. Alright, so now we've got the export to that model done. I'm going to resave the scene. So it maintains, I guess, that. We'll save as, and we're just going to resave it again. So it'll take it a few seconds to save all the information. Like I said, it's got the better part of a half a gig of information in this one scene. And, you know, it's rightfully so. You can see all that information that I highlighted with the LiDAR. That's a lot. There's quite a bit in there. So all this is doing here, the reason it's taking so long is because just a lot of information to save. The easiest way I can put it. Alrighty then, so now we've got that saved. That's our new starting point now. Same thing, I want to unhide all the information. So I'm going to do like this, select all, and unhide all that. There we go. Now we got everything in the list. Select it all. And isolate just the score tower. Delete all that. Now we got just the score tower. I'll leave it that name. Now what we want to do is export this out as a 3DS. Now, I think I got to refer to my stuff here. So I should have one 3DS that's empty. And I think that's all I need. Yeah, and then I can create the two separate pass files based on the texture that's applied to it. This is where it's important. What texture that you apply to the model prior to pass export is important. And we'll go through that, I guess, once I get to that point. So the way, whatever texture you do apply to the model prior to pass export is going to be critical in these in the steps that we're going to do here. So each one of these passes is related to the specific texture that's going to be on that model when we create the 3DO based on the script. This is why having those proper textures on there, and it'll all make sense once I guess when I go through the whole process of it there. All right, so I only need the one 3DS. That's what I wanted to confirm here. And we're going to create two separate pass files with different textures based on that 3DS. Because it's relatively the same model, it only has a separate texture. So the model itself doesn't change. It's just the way the texture changes. And this is one way to be able to accomplish getting a different texture applied to the model, which is the same regardless of what session. Okay. So all I need to do is export this out. 3DS, we need to point to our directory. Oh, not there. Not there. Right here. Mesh items, Texas items, 2020, score tower. And I want to set this to 3DS. And right here, I'm going to overwrite this one here. So this is our original 2015 build. I've already got this backed up elsewhere, I guess, as far as to maintain, I guess, the original 2015 build. So I'm not worried about overwriting this one. I already got a backup of the 15 build. Yes, I want to preserve. And again, it's going to give me that because of the 3DS format, it's going to tell me it's going to rename it. We're not worried about that. It's okay. All right, so now we've got this new 3DS. I just want to confirm that it did spit that out properly. And oh, let me see. Let me refresh this. Yep, it did. So it's got the new date on it. Sweet. So now I can use this 3DS to bring it into Max 5 so I can create new pass files. And probably another thing to mention here, it's like, well, why don't I just use these pass files if nothing else changed? What changed is the position of that model. So this is the original construction that we did in 15 was based on 0 orientation, and by that it was like centered at 0, 0, 0 as far as XYZ. This one's not. So that not so much of the texture or anything that changed, but also we didn't have the height data back in 15, so that did necessarily change as well. So in order to take advantage of the new position of it, as well as the proper height of it, based on that LiDAR that I already shown as far as to get it to scale, in that fashion, we need to create new pass files so we can take advantage of all that new information. Okay? Just, you know, some more clarification is all. So with that new 3DS, I can go ahead and get out of Max 14 here. Let's reset that. Don't save that. Let's get out of this, and then I'm going to load up. We're going to load up Max 5. So let's take a second here to do that. And then whether or not we get into editing the texture itself, to it. We'll see. We'll see what we got in a matter of time. If time permits, there we can definitely take a look at that. Just to kind of go over, I guess, as far as how we can edit texture, because that's another thing when it comes to model creation. It's one thing, I guess, to indulge into the model creation, but how you create the texture, I guess, for that particular model. All right, so yep, we're gonna bring this all up here. So here's our Max 5. There we go. We got Max 5 up there. Now we want to load that newly exported 3DS for that score tower from Max 14. Okay, so we go into here. I keep wanting to go into the Papyrus one. That's not the one. Not the one. So Texas items 2020 score tower 3DS, and there's our newly exported 3DS for that. We want to completely replace and do not convert the units. There's our model. Now, this is where it becomes, so you can see it's out of orientation just like the video screen would be. So here's the center of the world, I guess, as far as the track goes. So picture, if you will, this is the middle of the track. This is like be the end of pit road. So you have to picture like where the track is around this. So we want to maintain this orientation. All the models that we've been creating for this build so far have been in the position that it belongs, right? And so when we bring it into Sandbox, we just put everything at 0, right? So just to apply some more clarification for that. So the first one I'm going to do is the empty score tower, right? We got the 2 textures that are already created, as I've shown. So the first one we're going to apply is the empty one, which is this one, to the model, and then we export that out as pass, and that one's going to be this empty one. I got it set as score tower 01AE. That's going to be the empty one. The one that's going to be populated is going to be this one right here. We're just going to overwrite these 2 pass files going back to the 2015 build. Right, so this is where it becomes critical once again. As I said, as far as what texture you apply to this prior to pass export. So what we want to do is navigate to score tower 3DS, and this one we want the empty one, so we want this one. Apply that physically to the model, and we can see it on the model like so. And we want to make sure that this is named properly. Score tower. Beautiful. So we got our texture that we want. It's named to what we want and what we need it to be. So now we can export this out as pass. So we're going to go export. We need to navigate to that folder. So we go to 3D modeling, items, Texas items, 2020, score tower, yes, and we want to switch this to pass. Okay, critical. I got to make sure that I'm doing this. This is the empty one, so this is the score tower 01AE for empty. That's the way I've named it, just for clarity. Already exists, and I want to overwrite it. Yes, I do. And just to confirm that it did overwrite, press it here. So this one should have overwrote, which it did. Beautiful. Now, without changing anything else other than the texture, okay, I can keep this all loaded just the way it is. All I need to do is change the texture to it. So I can go into here and change this to the full one that's populated. Apply that to it and make sure it's physically applied to the model, like so. So this one's now populated. So now I save that as the other pass file. Okay, so now we export this one out as this one that's populated. So we already did the one for the empty. Now we need the one that's populated, that has the numbers and positions and all that stuff on it. Save that. Yes, I want to overwrite it, and we'll confirm that it did overwrite. Seen a lot of emotes flying around there. We still don't have no jackpots yet, it doesn't look like. Keep at it. You will get it there eventually. You got 0 units on the Scold. Nothing on the shot. Yikes. And nothing on the slots. You got 91 units of fluid on the wrist though. So I guess that's there you go. Yep. See if you're figuring out those audio commands there. So yeah. Glad those are working. Noise. There the noise. There you go. Yeah, that is a. So you got like what, one on a 4? Yikes. Alright, so we did we did confirm. Did we? Yeah. So it is confirmed that we've got both two new fresh pass files based on this model. Now what we can do is bring all them items from here to our Make 3DO, and we'll go from there. Let's see, how did Lady Death? Lady Death got a shot, 84 units on the shot. Very nice. Oh, Aristo, you got 58 of them taken away and nothing on the slots. You got 100 on the Scold though, so hey, there you go. GG's. GG's on that. Nice. Good to know that that's still working, right? There you go. Touchdown. There is the win. That's one of the channel point redemptions there, I believe. That should be the win. Can't remember if I put that in one in there or not. I can't remember where I put it. It should be labeled as win, and regardless of that. Unfortunately, I can't run them myself, because I am the stream. There it is. Found it. Yep, that was one of the channel point redemptions as far as the wiener. There it goes. Yeah, definitely deserves that. There's some hype in that chat there too, guys. That's a pretty good pretty good turnout for you there, Lady Death. Get some hype out there in the chat. There we go. Anybody can use that command. Just throwing that out there, even regardless of you're a sub or not. Okay, so we got everything confirmed here. All we got to do now is move the appropriate files that we need here. So we need this script, both textures. We're gonna have to create MIPs for those, but that's fine. Not a big deal. And that will be two separate MIPs. That's probably another fair mention because they have the two different values to it, as far as, you know, one's populated and one's not. So we'll have two textures, which will require two MIPs. I guess that's so we'll get to that point. So we need the script, the textures, as well as the paths related to those. So we're going to copy all that to our Make 3DO directory. We already cleaned out previously for our construction of the big hoss. So now we got everything in here we need to construct our 3DO. Okay. Let's go to our command prompt, which is still up here. Now we should already be in that directory. No, we're in Sandbox. We got to change our directory. So let's use our handy dandy shortcut here. We need to get back to that directory right here. Like so. Now we want to do, I think I'm gonna go ahead and type this in here. I could go one of two ways, but I'm gonna have to edit it anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and still just type it out. I can use what I've got on this window here and stretch it out here. I can use what I did for the video screen and just change it to our new script, which is Score Tower. Alright, so Make 3DO, gotta call up the utility, -s, which is for script, and the script is called Score Tower. tr.psg, and it doesn't have any other parameters. Whoops, doesn't have any other parameters to it, like reflection or anything like that. So we don't need anything else besides that. Push enter, and it should spit out our 3DO. So there's our 3DO. Now again, if you got the 3D SimEd, double click on it, you'll be able to open that, and there it should be. And again, as I've always said, you don't 100% want to go by the way it's presented in here. Just to let you know that it loads. You know, 3D SimEd doesn't crash or anything like that, so we're at least good to that point. We could also take the approach of using View 3D like I showed previously, so you already know how that works. View 3D does require to have the MIP files in there though, so that's another fair mention if I didn't make that clear enough already. You do have to have all the related MIP files to the 3DO that's produced for View 3D to look, because the View 3D is basically the same engine as the Sandbox, in comparison also to the simulation itself. So if you don't have all the related files to the particular 3DO, it's not going to load. Again, just for clarification. Alright, so now we've got this. We're going to cut this out and put this into here, and then we'll create our MIP files based on it. So we'll go here. So outside of the 3ds file in our Score Tower folder, Now I'm going to create the two MIP files that I was mentioning earlier. And I've already got the textures right here. So using WinMIP2, I'm going to open this up with it. And this is assuming you've already got this all installed with the proper DLLs and all that stuff there. These are all 100% available through the other information tab on the Spline Design Studios website. So if you need more clarification, I guess, as far as where all these files are located, feel free to check that out. Alright, so with WinMIP2 opened up here, we're going to navigate to... I was doing some editing to some of the NASCAR, the simulation itself, as far as some of the series in there. I'm still working on that too. I come to find, and I mentioned this over to Cosmin over at Splash and Go, when they created these new Winston Cup series, for NASCAR Racing 2003. The models that are in the user interface, as far as the car that spins around when you're selecting your car, the whole thing is shiny, and that's what I was working on here, as far as to figure out why it was doing that. And yeah, so that's just to give some clarification on there. Another little side project that I was working on. But what we need to do is navigate to where our textures are here. So we got to go 3ds Mesh, Texas Items, 2020, Score Tower, 3ds, and then we'll do this one first. And both of them will be the same. So once you load it up here, we don't need to change any parameters to this. All we got to do is change it over to MIP. You'll be able to leave it just like that. Shouldn't have to do anything else to it. We don't have any transparency in it, so there's not going to be any visible color. Okay, so that's fair. But this is what the texture looks like in all its glory. This is the full one. This is the populated one. This would be for that pass file that is related to the race session, for example. This is what it'll show. I don't have the lap in there, but that can always be added to that if we want. Oh, you missed the exclamation point there. I was like, whoa, why didn't that work? Slots there. Okay. Cool beans. All right, so let's. So yeah, I don't have to change anything else. That's all I need to do is do a save as, and we're gonna save this into the root folder of the Score Tower, so that it goes along with the 3DO. So right in this location, save it. Give it a second to save, and then just confirm that it's there. So it should be right there. So there's that texture. This MIP file right there. Alright, and then we're going to close that. Now we're going to open up the empty one. This is what it looks like, empty. So nothing populated into it. Same process there. We go MIP. Don't need to change anything on it. In this case, so file save as. Save that right down. Give that a second to, there we go. So now that should be saved. So there's our two. So now we got everything we need to accommodate this particular model. Now if we open this up in 3D SimEd, it should still load. Okay, but now if we put it into our track as far as sandbox, that'll also load. And all we'd have to do as far as to bring this into the track is to set it to 0. It's already in position as far as you see here. So that'll make sense as far as once I do that. So that's going to be the next step. Now we've got it all constructed here as far as what we need to bring it into our track and sandbox. We'll go ahead and copy these items over to our track, which is right here. Paste it in here. Now we got it in here. Now what we'll do is we'll save this as a new PTF as we do this, right? So what we'll have to do is close this session out with sandbox so we can bring that model in. Go new. Okay, we're going to reopen this last saved one, which was based on the big hoss. What are we laughing at? Oh, the fact that... Oh, you missed it by 1 again. Dang it. Okay, give that a second to load. Did it load? Oh, give it another second. Yeah, these multiple monitors here tend to take... There it goes. Okay. So now we got it loaded in here. Now we need to go into Object Placement View, because it is an object. And then click anywhere outside the track here. Add track set object, and it should be in our list here alphabetically. Score Tower 01A. So there it is. Now it did come in here, and it's probably way out here. Rather than trying to find it You know where it is? I think it's probably right out here. You could click on it that way. It's a little bit more tedious, I guess, to do it that way sometimes, especially when it's a relatively smaller object. But I find it easier to do is just to go into the tracks side projects here, the objects here, and it should be in the list. And again, in an alphabetic fashion, there it is. So yeah, it is right there. Now all we got to do is set this to fixed and zero it out. And it should put it right where it needs to go. All the models, as I've mentioned, as far as that we've been applying to this build, are all just zeroed out. Because they're being built in the position based on that LiDAR. So it's already in position as far as, so there's no coordinates to apply to the model. It's already there. So you can already see the yellow bounding box for it right there. It's already in the position. Okay, so with all that done, there's no yeah, there's no animation to this. Yeah, so the way this script is done, what will happen is, what should initially show here is the populated. So by default here in Sandbox, it'll load race session. And there's no people in the stands or anything like that yet, so it should show the numbers. Oh, this is probably something, okay. So this will sometimes happen too. This is a common problem, you know, a common issue that you run into is like, where's my model? You see the bounding box there. The fact that it doesn't show, don't freak out, because that's in a lot of cases that's normal. So all you'd have to do with everything that we've done to it so far, the bounding box is there, so we know that's solid. There's no errors that came up. It didn't say it couldn't load it or anything like that, so we're still fine. The fact that it shows the bounding box and that orientation of the score tower, that's a good thing. So what we want to do is switch back to geometry. I'm going to save the PTF as a new PTF. So in this case, we're going to do score tower. Last time we did video screen, so now this time we're going to do score tower. Okay, and then save it. And then we'll close this session and then reopen that PTF that we just saved. And then it should be there. And it should be populated, like I said, with the numbers on it. Because by default, like I said, what Sandbox will load. Did that save? Yeah, right here. Here's score tower. Double click on that. And it should load that in there fully with the numbers on it. And we'll be able to switch the session to be able to check to see if it actually does switch that texture. That's the other thing we want to test out here. Give it another second. It's thinking there a second. Come on. I know you all probably can't see it on your end, but it's there we go. I gotta wait for it because I got the other monitors trying to hook up, I guess, with the alright, there we go. So we got it loaded in here. So if we go to camera view, you should see the model in position and it should have the numbers on it. Which it does. And by default, that's what it should do. When you load up the track in Sandbox, it's always going to load by default, as especially when after you close Sandbox, it'll load in race session. So to test to see if this switches over, we're going to load up this here to state variable, and right now it's at weekend 0. That means it's testing. But what it should do by having this value applied, it should switch over to that texture for that's plain, that has nothing populated on it. So if we switch this over, now there's nothing on it. And that's what we wanted to do. So in that session, it will look just like this as far as for testing. So when you come into the track, you know, with either with other, you know, just by yourself, you know, just to do some practice laps, that's the way it's going to look. Now if we go back to race session, let's check them all here. So this one here would be happy hour, qualifying, and so on. Value 1. That's what that is. It should still be unpopulated. Yep. That's normal. That's the way we've got it scripted to do. Now if we put it on 2, which is race session, it should have the numbers back on it. Now the numbers are on it, so that's race session. Now, keeping in mind we don't have any people in stands, you know, being in the form of 3D or just a flat texture to that, so that's why they have stands to look empty. That's still in progress there, I guess, to get corrected. So, but as far as yeah, it's still pretty barren out here yet, but we're getting there, one object at a time. So also with this one here too, that's probably another thing I can mention here. So race session, the animated frames will show. Let me check this one out here. So if I switch this back over to 0, this should be blank. I think we tested that out last week, but go ahead and test it again. Just for giggles. So if we got that on, now we're in testing, it's a blank screen. And then this should be back to blank. Yep. So in this session, as far as for testing, score tower's not on and there's nothing on the screen. And that's the way we've got it scripted to do. And that's what we want. So if that's what you want, if that's how we want it, then we're good to go on that. Now what I did notice here is this shadow, or the placement of that score tower is off. I don't know if that's just the ground plane image, you know, for the infield of that is off. I'm not sure. But we definitely did confirm based on our max scene that I was already in position there. So we may need to adjust that. I guess we'll have to take another look at that later on. But what I want to do now is be able to test this in the sim. That's the one thing also I'd like to do. So once we get things created, we want to be able to test it in the simulation itself. That's always the fun part. So there's still, the track is still in the state that we don't have any race, it's not set up to be able to race other cars, right? So we don't have all the parameters for the pit stalls, as well as the AI lines as far as the LPs and stuff like that. So we won't be able to test it in that fashion just yet, but eventually we'll get it there. Eventually it'll get there. It's a slow process, you know. So these things take time. I guess as far as one thing at a time, as far as get these elements in, you know, get everything tweaked, whatever, and get it up and running. So I think with what I'll do is I'll get this prepped to be able to test this up in the sim, which required me to take probably a short little recess as far as intermission, if you will. So if you need to get up, stretch, get yourself a fresh beverage, whatever you need to do, feel free to do that, and we'll come back and we'll do some laps on this track. Let me get some setup here done here. We've got everything in the track here. Just want to double check here. What we will need to do is get this over to the we need to get this over and set up to the simulation. So a couple of prerequisites we need to do in order for that to happen. So the only thing we've added to the track is that score tower and the new video tower as far as the 3DO. So we got the 3DO for the video tower, or the video screen, as well as the score tower and its appropriated MIPS, plus the new PTF. So we got those items that all need to get into the main track folder there. So yeah, we need to get that set up there. So let's do that. Let's do that here for a second here. And then once I get at that point, we'll take a short little recess as far as, like I said, as far as if you need to get up and stretch, you know, get yourself a fresh beverage, whatever you need to do, feel free to go ahead and do that while I get this thing set up here. And we'll come back when, like I said, we'll do some laps on the track. So let's do this. Let me see here. Okay, for some reason that's not reading that one. Why is it not reading that one? You little bugger. Okay, let's try it this way then. Let's see how he is. I have a little network issue here, I guess, as far as like getting it rebooted, I guess, as far as with that power outage. So we'll just get it. We'll get it straightened out here. What I need to do is get this one up. Oh, yep. Come on. All right. Yeah, so as I get some a little bit of setup here, it'll take me just a minute or two, I guess, to be able to do that. So I'll be back in just a second. So we'll see you when I'm back on the track. Alrighty, folks, we are back. Adjusted audio's here a little bit here. So yeah, what I took the liberty of moving everything over that we need for the just a tad bit. Actually, no, I want to crank that up just a little bit. Get just some audios here. There we go. Now, yeah. So I was saying, I've taken the liberty of moving all the files that we need, I guess, to be able to our game track directory. We're in our track edit folder here, right? So now we've got it loaded up into the game. So let's see here. Switch this over. It'll come out here. There we go. Now the track should be loaded here. Marvelous. I got this one here. I don't know. So many captures here. All right. Hopefully that's all coming through. Wait. There we go. So we got, yeah, the track is loaded with all of our new items. Now you can see off to the right-hand side there, you can see the score tower that we've added in there, so we know that's got the right track and everything is loaded in properly. So now what we want to do is just do a lap or two around here in testing session. Like I said, we don't have it. The track isn't informed yet or whatever, or compliant, I guess, to be able to run a race session just yet. So we're only going to be able to run some laps solo, I guess, around to see what we've got applied to it so far. In this case, now we've got our grandstands, we've got the score tower that we just added, as well as our adjusted video screen as far as up in the backstretch there. So let's go ahead and take some laps around this thing. What do you say? Let's make sure we got our setup in here. And I've been working on a setup with this one here, and it's I made some adjustments to it, kind of comply, you know, to help us, you know, the attitude of this track is very strange, because it's like, and I don't know if that, like I've mentioned before in the previous stream there, it's like I don't know if that's what they were going for, I guess, as far as to have it flatter on one end of the track as opposed to the other. It's like you want to run the same speed in both ends of the track, and you cannot do that. It's so much slower on the turns 1 and 2 end of the track. It's crazy. It's like it's something. I mean, it's like it keeps you on your toes, because you, like I said, you cannot go as fast on both ends of the track. So, all right, so here we go. I think what I am going to do is I'm going to turn the background music off so that you can get all the sounds that are in the race sim itself. How about that? Go ahead and pause that there for a moment so we can get all the sounds that we got going on in here. All right, here we go. Let's do some laps. Not flapping my gums. Hopefully the audios are coming across well enough there. Go. Let's take some laps here. Let's see, do we want cockpit view? And you got nothing. That's probably appropriate there, lady. All right, so we want to do cockpit. Let's do the roof view. Roof view would be fine. Roof view will be fine. Like I said, hopefully the audios are coming through well enough. So we got all this resin that they put on this end of the track or whatever to get a little bit better grip. At least that's the idea they've applied to it. Whether or not it needs a little bit of tweaking on this particular track, though, it's still yet to be determined. But yeah, and this end of the track can go way faster. Well, once I get a lap in here and get really warmed up, get the tires warmed up and whatever, you'll be able to really get a sense of how this track likes to respond. But this end of the track is way slower. You're gonna get way down. Be able to, otherwise you'll just drift right up into the wall. We'll push like a dump truck. Alright, this end of the track can gain up a lot of speed on the straightaway. Coming out on the faster end of the track, here's turns 3 and 4. Bottoming out there a little bit. Oh, we're gonna tag the wall. Yep.
31.1.
Slow it up so we can get through this end of the track. Coming out to turn 2, back onto the back stretch, and there's our video screen, whatever, with the blank screen. That says it should be in this session. Being testing. You can go way faster on this end of the track, as I said. Oh, we're gonna push. Still got maybe some adjustments to do to the setup there, but
30.8.
it's good enough for starters.
06.
Way slower on this end of the track to keep it pinned down into the groove here. Way different groove on this end of the track for sure. That area there that's darker, that's considered that resin that they put down in that end of the track in reality, is kind of your guide as far as how you want to be able to navigate that end of the track. If you get outside of that resin, you're probably very much in a bad way.
30.874.
You want to stay right in this area right here. And you kind of, I'm having myself, I gotta feather the throttle there. I'm tending to push here a little bit. Now we'll come into the pits. That gives you somewhat of an idea of how the track kind of behaves, the attitude of it. So we're gonna come into the pits here. Show you how that transition is nice and smooth. Come into the pits here.
37.
And we don't have all the parameters for the you know, the service on the pits, you know, as far as to get pitted and all that stuff like that. We could probably look at that, some of that. I want to get some of that applied at least for the first pit stall there. But there you have it. There's a few laps on the track. Let's go ahead and check the replay out. Got some cameras applied to this so we can. You may do the pit stall locations and LPs next. Cool. Well, there's your answer there, folks. I could probably at least set the initial pit stall here as far as so I can. You know, at least get service, because right now the way it's set up there, it's not set up as a pit road parameter, as well as these stalls obviously not in the right spot. So for my purposes, you know, for the sake of the stream here, I can necessarily go through that process just to show how that goes. So yeah, let's set the laps back over here so we can see our run here. We'll start it right there. We're already out on the track. You can see some of the camera angles that we've got here too. I know I've shown those in the past stream there, but see how I got way out of the groove there? It's a much different feel up in that outside of that groove, I guess, as far as that end of the track. Your car will push really bad as far as it just gets sucked right up into the wall if you get outside of that dark area. So you can see we're bottoming out on this part of the track the way I've got the setup on it. Springs are really, really soft, and I want to get that bounce, I guess, off the you know, as far as, because you do have to. The way I take it anyway, as far as my driving style, the way I set the car into the corners, I kind of tap the brake getting into the corner, which kind of lets those springs compress, and then once it, you know, once they get out of that coil, it tends to just catapult the car. At least that's the approach to it, you know, just to kind of put it in simple terms. So yeah, as you go into the turn, like I said, as far as the way I've got the spring set up there, it's like it allows the car to kind of set. So through the middle of the turn, obviously because of the way I've got the spring set there, it's bottoming out. So it's maybe a little too low, so there's probably definitely some adjustment I can make. You can see I tapped the wall there, so I got the whole right side of the car scrunched. See, I'm barely staying into that groove right there. There's a lot more feel good in that area than there is outside of that dark area, which is what they consider that resin. I don't think, and I can probably look at that, I don't think there's a different property. Torch, you can feel free, I guess, to elaborate, I guess, on that. I don't think there's any particular different grip property, I guess, as far as that as of yet. But I could definitely tell just even if it was just the geometry of the track itself, you can tell when you get outside of that dark area, the car just wants to just launch itself to the outside wall. As opposed to if you set the car right, I guess, to go through that dark area of that lower banking in the turns 1 and 2 area with that dark spot, that's where I feel it's comfortable as far as to set it early and let it coast through there and stay right in there. It's just kind of like on rails. Just mentioning everybody, Torch had mentioned there, like you said, he's gonna do the LPs and the. I think the integrity of the track itself is definitely already there, so it's that step could necessarily be done even with everything already being done, as far as the objects and such. So there we have it. There's a few laps around the track. It's really challenging, I guess, to race on. It's fun to race on too, because it's not the same on both ends. You would expect, I guess, to be able to enter in like that. It takes the, in my opinion, I guess, as far as it takes the monotony, I guess, as far as it reacting the same way at both ends of the track, because you have to be on you know, on alert, I guess, as far as to be like, I can't enter this end of the track the same way as I do on the other end. So if that's necessarily the way they designed this track, is that the approach that they were taking, it's done a pretty good job. Let's go ahead and get out of the car, and we're gonna get back into seeing what else we can do here. So I at least want to go into probably editing that first pit stall, and possibly even applying the pit road or the pit road and pit stall properties, I guess, to that area. Torch, I know you've probably done something different, so whatever you get, whatever you do, that's going to be contradictory to what I have, and that's perfectly fine, right? I just want to be able to show, I guess, the process of that. So as far as whatever I do is going to be overwritten, I guess, as far as what you do, because this is totally your build. I'm just kind of riding along with it. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and hide this, and we're going to switch this back over to yeah, so what I want to do is, whoops, wrong mouse. Got 2 mice here to be able to handle, I guess, it's like I need to be an octopus is what I need to be. All right, so let's go ahead and turn this back on. And if that's too loud, definitely let me know and I'll adjust that properly. Let's turn this off. So back over in our track edit screen, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna move this over for the time being. Gotta readjust some things. Alright, so we got this. Let's bring this back over. There's pros and cons, I guess, to having this 2PC setup here. The 2PC setup is it has its moments, let's just put it that way. It does have its challenges, but it's really nice, I've come to find, as far as to have more of the gaming stuff, as far as like everything I'm doing on one machine, and all the front work as far as like the editing and stuff like I've got currently showing up here on the other. It's been really nice in that regard. I don't need to put all that stuff that I'm working on, I guess, as far as all on one machine. Not to mention, I think the stream comes out a lot smoother now. I don't know if any of you all have noticed there. I've noticed the streams have been a lot smoother for the most part, especially, just watching the VODs and whatever, as far as that goes. You can definitely tell the difference anyway. So, what we want to get into now is editing, like I said, that pit stall, which will probably require to do some I&I editing. That's what I was trying to spit it out. All right, so let's everything else that we've got here, we're all good to go on this. We've already confirmed everything is working the way we expect it to. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and close this out. Do not need to save that. Yes, new all, and completely get out of that. Okay. So this is our track edit folder. I guess that's in Torch's folder there. Okay, cool. Sandbox. We're gonna leave this open here. So one of the things I'll probably have to adjust, more than likely, is zoom in on this. I don't think that's applied here yet. We're just gonna take a look. So if we go into extended surface types, probably even more so the surface types here. So that's this should be all asphalt. So yeah, that's one thing I pointed out on one of the last streams, was the area that's grass is still asphalt. So that hasn't been defined yet. That still needs to be done. But the fact that this deal here that's on pit road, that's an object, right? So in order to probably see what's going on with the if this is set as pit road and such, we might have to turn objects off. So and there's a way to do that. So let's do this. Right now that's set as racing surfaces, it looks like. So here we do have some apron near pits, which is part of what we need, I guess, as far as for the pitting protocols for AI and such. On the one end here, center this, so nothing on this end. Okay, that's fine. What I'm more concerned with is being able to get that property for pit stall in here. Right now, this is set to racing surface, and the way I can tell that, go into here, go into F section. Need to unlock this. See, this says, so this section here that I've got highlighted here, that's as racing surface. So what I need to do, and this is just going to be for my purposes. I know whatever Torch has or is going to do is going to be contradictory to what I'm doing here. I'm doing this for my own purposes so that I can set this up here so I can get that into the right, get it all working the way it needs to be, right? So Torch, if you've already done this, that's perfectly fine. Whatever you've got done, I'll just make sure I get that from you. So what I need to do instead of racing surface here, I need to set this up as... might have to put another F section in here actually to be able to highlight. I need this area here to be pit stall, and this area outside of pit stall to be pit road. So yeah, I'm gonna need to put. There's probably gonna need to be one in here anyway. At some point. So what I'm gonna do. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do insert F section. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to outline and define that outside edge of the pit stall. At least initially. Yo! Why does it seem like that's did you not do that last week, I don't know if that's not... I know you mentioned that to me before. It's like, hey, when it tells me, you just click on it, right? Popping in for the resub, right? 31 months though. Wow. I know it's been longer than that, obviously, that you've been supporting the channel. Very much appreciate it. Get some hype in the chat, exclamation point hype. Something off sync. Yeah, it's probably a Twitch thing, I'm sure. I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it at all. But you definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it, however which way you can get it. I know you just follow the, whatever Twitch is telling you to do, and appreciate it. I'm glad you could pop in. Good to have you. How you been? I know you've been working on the house there and all that jazz. Sure, you're probably taking a break from that. Yeah. Where's the hype at? Come on, give me some hype in the chat. You don't have the sub badges there, exclamation point hype in the chat there. Let's get some hype, I guess, for the resub. Twitch Prime, I guess, by Razor James. Thank you for that, James. Very much appreciated. Yeah, so we're just in the process of setting up pit road here, I guess, a little bit, to be able to accommodate putting that first pit stall in there at minimum, at least for now, so that we can test that out in the sim. So it's going to require doing a little bit of track PTF edit, as I'm doing right now, as well as some INI editing. And probably what I'm going to do, since it's only one stall, what I'm probably going to do is... Somebody farted. Who farted? Lady Death farted. Nice. Yeah, so all those commands out there, that in case anybody wasn't knows, I know there's probably still some new people coming into the stream there. They all the ones that were previously in the bot, as far as the exclamation point, what have you, as far as the moo, the hit, and so on, they are now in a sound panel of sorts, I guess, below the stream. Try to not put it, put it in a reasonable spot there. So if you are watching on mobile, it's not too far to scan. So if you want to use those, just hit on that button to confirm that you want to play it on the stream, just like Lady Death did there, and that's how that'll work. Did you have some beans there, Lady Death? Is that what that's all about? You've been fighting getting the G29 set up. Oh yeah, G29. Stupid thing is not working. Gave up in order to Thrustmaster. Oh, I didn't realize you got a new wheel. So did the G27 crap out on you? I know we haven't conversed, I guess, there in a while. So, but you ended up getting yourself a G29. Hopefully, you got a decent price on it. Hopefully. I know some of them I've seen that they're well over $350. It's like, I don't know, it's a little too rich for my blood at this point, but I guess I'm spoiled because of the fact that G27 is still working like a champ, and yeah, it was relatively inexpensive. It was used too. That was the other thing. But let's see, where was I at? Yeah, so we're putting this F section in here to be able to find this outside edge of the pit stall. So the pit stall is right here. Pit crew would be on this side of the wall. So here's the wall, this white deal here. Crew would be on this side. And what I was pointing out is the fact that we only got the one stall to deal with for now, at least anyway. I'm just going to point the cursor on this, and I'm going to plug those values that I see on the bottom right hand of the screen here. That's going to be our D-long and D-lat that we'll be able to apply to our track INI. So let's bring up the track INI, now that I said that. So we'll go here and open up the track INI right there. And then what we want to do is go to the pit stall sections here, which is here. Now these are the initial stalls here. Obviously they're probably wrong. So we're gonna have to adjust them. So we got all 42. Now there's 43 stalls here because we start at 0 and a 42. There's nothing like a pit overlay or anything like that yet, so yeah, we can probably even go so far as to set the qual stall if we wanted to. You got the G29 pedal to USB, so I can keep those sexy. Oh, I got you. So you only got the G29 pedals. You mean? Wait, whoa, I got lost here. G25 lost its calibration. Got the 29 in February. Oh, okay. I mean, you might have mentioned that to me, and I just forgot. Looked it up and did the inverted pedals. Right, I remember the inverted pedals. Yeah. But it will not remember the force feedback settings. Is that force feedback? Yeah, is that what you meant? FF settings. Keep snapping back to 100% centering randomly. Even oh, that sucks. So that was what the 25 it was doing all that. Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, and honestly, I've had the same problem with that. Maybe I didn't clue you in, I guess, on that. I put that it was a brass ring, as far as the optical ring sensor or whatever that deal was called. I had to take the wheel apart and all that jazz. So to replace that original optical sensor ring that's in the Logitech wheels, the G25 and so on. 27 is what I got. I've replaced it. It's a brass ring, so it's sort of plastic. So yours was probably just broken, and it just comes down to replacing that ring. You know, as far as that goes, that's probably all it's going to take. So it's probably still a good wheel. It just has to have that replaced. I think you can still get those too. They do come from overseas, so it does take a while to get them. And if I remember right, I got them as a set for like $30 or something like that. I think the fact that it's as cheap as they are because you get two of them, right? So they're like $15 a piece if you want to look at it that way. It does take a little bit to get the wheel taken apart to get it in there. So if you don't want to necessarily deal with that, that's something you can take into consideration. There's a lot that goes into it, I guess, as far as to get at that little piece to replace it. But I haven't had to do anything with it since I've done it, so yeah. 29 has the plastic ring, too, it looked right. All of them do. Yeah, the way the Logitech wheels do, that's the way they do those, which is dumb. I don't know why they don't go with that, you know, something similar like that brass ring. It would justify them charging as much as they do, I feel. That's for sure. I just feel those wheels are a little bit overpriced, honestly, in comparison to some of the, like, Fanatic and stuff like that. And even the TSWs and so on. Those are really solid wheels. I've had the privilege of using those on other rigs, and it's like, I would spend that money as in comparison, I guess, to what Logitech charges. That's personal opinion. Okay, so we got the track INI up here so that we can plug those values for D-long, D-lat, and our rotation. Probably won't need to do much with the rotation, but at least the D-long and D-lat. So the first value is the D-long, which is in the direction of the track being counterclockwise. That's the distance from the lead segment, which would be where the start-finish line is, for example. So in this case, it's at 220.71 meters, and it's 38.74 meters. That's the way it is currently, but we'll probably have to adjust that because we saw where the car was positioned when we just did that testing session there, and it's off. So we need to adjust that. So that's why we're in this. Those pedals are so nice inverted. Hope we can keep those. Yeah. So if you're using, so when you got the 29, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. Did you only get the wheel and not the pedals, or did you get the pedals with the 29 and you're just still using the 25 pedals inverted? So you'll have the 29 pedals if that's the case as a backup. So if those wheels that are inverted that are from the 25 ever take a dump, you've got the 29 wheels, I guess, to be able to fall back on. That'd be pretty cool. I could be wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Alright, so we're going to keep that open for now. What we want to do first is add our appropriate F sections in here. So right now, all this gray here is defined as race surface, and we don't want that. We want to be able, in order for the crew to be able to do service on our vehicle when we come into our pit stall, we need to define this as pit stall. So that's why I'm applying this line to be able to find that, and then be able to define this area as pit road, which is a different section. These are critical, I guess, as far as to get all these functions to work properly. You're trying to keep the 29 pedals inverted. The 25 is the scrap. Okay, so the 25 is completely scrapped. I gotcha. So the 29 pedals you did inverted. Gotcha. But didn't you have the 25 pedals inverted as well? I think you did. Yeah, I swear by the inverted pedals, that's for sure. Yep, I still got them inverted, I guess, on my deal here too, and I love it. It's got such a more natural feel to it. Very natural feel. Alright, so let's go to this section, this segment. And what we need to do is, instead of racing surface, we need to apply this as pit road. So now this dark blue means this is now defined as pit road. Right? And we'll go ahead and apply this all the way down. As far as from this end all the way to the other end, which is this direction. But for now, we're just going to do this and just carry that down. Use them for mock-up, but the wheel was screwing up too much. Oh, okay. The 29 brake has that bumper in it. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's pretty neat. So it doesn't use a load cell? Is that what it is? It's got a bumper on it. It's pretty cute. All right, so it's so I think we can get away with, so the fact that if we go pit stall from here to here, the fact that it'll go beyond the wall, that shouldn't matter. This is already going to have collidable property here, so it's the fact that the pit stall property will go beyond the wall shouldn't matter. So let's go ahead, and this is what I was talking about. So we should be able to turn this area here that you see that's still gray, should turn to light blue, which should carry out. And this is an object, as I was saying too. The fact that we won't be able to see it because of that model being in the way there. We can turn that off to confirm. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and apply this like so. So this one still has racing surface. We need this to be pit stall. Back that up. So now we can see that light blue going up there. But what I'm gonna do is go to Can I go like this? No. Texture. Yeah, so the textures. Hold on a second. We want. Alright. Come on now, cooperate. Surface types. That's surface types when extended. Stepping all over myself here. Alright, let's go to this view. Yeah, so just to confirm, that's what I was trying to get here. So this model, this should be a model that it's a pit road model. That highlight? There's a second here. Why is that not highlighting? Oh, I see. What does he got selected? What do we got selected here? So we have the ground plane. All right, let's go through the list here. This pit road should be an object. That's what I was looking for here. So this should be alphabetic here, so we can get to the P's. We got a lot of styrofoam in this as far as for the safer. Lots of work going on to that. So we got the pit wall. So there's that. Right. Okay, so maybe it's, we got the pit wall and what else? The pit stalls themselves, I think, are also an object. That's what I was checking here. Torch can confirm with me. Need to be here, but I thought concrete infield. Yeah, here it is. That's concrete infield. Okay, so is this part not an object? Yeah, so I see the bounding box for that. That's just behind the pit wall. Is this not an object too? That's what I was wondering. I was thinking they were named pits, but I could be wrong. That's the ground plane. Okay. Where that at? Wait a second. Let me go back through this again. There's the pit wall. We got the concrete that's behind the wall. know he did that as an object, I'm just not sure what he named it. Guess I was thinking it was pit something or other. Alright, what did we name it? So we got the pit wall for sure. Alright, let's look in the camera view here. Let's see what we got going on with y'all. Yeah, so that's a wall. But I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Torch, but I think these pit stalls are actually an object too. So I don't know if he's got him. Wait, has he got a label as stalls maybe? I remember what he named that. Stands. Styro. Not 100% sure what he's got a name. I know it's an object. Well, you mentioned that it was an object. Just can't remember what it was named. Oh, you want to check in and have give me some? Okay, no problem there, games. I'm glad you could stop in there for a little bit, especially with that resub. Appreciate that. Okay, ground plane. All right, come on now. What in the world is that named? I only got so many objects in here. Stands, canopy, club. I'll find it. Lone Star Tower. Score Tower, that's what we just put in. Lone Star Tower is the hotel. Concrete backstretch. Yeah, so the only one I'm seeing is this one, which is the concrete outside of the pit stall. Oh, so that's on the opposite side. Where's that object? Here, let me look at it this way. Let's look at it this way. So we got it all broke down here. So all these items here are 3DOs. So let's take a look and see what we got here. There it is, pit stalls. Oh, is that not in there? Oh, this is the pit stalls right here. So why am I not seeing it in the list there? Yep, there's our pit stall. So there's the object. So I know it's in there. Okay, so it should be labeled as pit stalls. Okay, let's look back through these again. So they should be in the P's. Pit stalls. There's pit wall. Why those not in you? Go back through it again. Should be all alphabetic, but they're in here somewhere. Why they're not alphabetic, I'm not sure. We got the concrete, INF, the fence, concrete. Where the heck is the pit stalls? The only thing I see is pit wall. Wall, for crying out loud. They're clearly in there, so why isn't it in the list? Everything that I'm looking at in here's everything that's already applied to the track, just in case anybody was wondering. But I'm not sure why I'm not seeing that object for pit stalls listed in here. Very interesting. Here, let's see here. They're clearly here, and it doesn't let me select it because the ground plane seems to have priority over it. So it keeps selecting the ground plane. Well, if nothing else, what I could do is the ground plane just at 0. I can delete that out and then put it back in. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll do ground plane, take that out. You can always put it back in there if we need to. Why is it not selecting stalls? That is really weird. Yeah, so the fact that now what is it selecting? That's the stands. Those are 0 oriented. Yep. Yep. So it's only letting me select the more profound objects. Let's take them out for a second. Why is it not letting me select? Oh my goodness. Oh, you're gonna make me take all this stuff out there. That's nuts. Why won't it let me? I don't understand why I can't. I don't see pit stalls in the list here. Shouldn't have to take all this stuff out just to get to it. Let's see. They're clearly in there. I mean, I can see them visually, but I don't know why they're not in the list. Texas infield. That's the infield object, okay. Okay, that has nothing to do with the stalls. I got the pit wall, that's clear. It should be right here by the pit wall, and I'm not sure why it's not. Very interesting. Very peculiar. I'll be damned. Anyway, let's nuts. Alright, let's go ahead and bring back in. We took out the ground plane and that. I don't know. I don't get that. That's puzzling to me. I can clearly see the pit stall object in here, but it's not showing in the list, and it doesn't let me select it because of all these other items that are in there. So anyway, let's go ahead and reapply the main grand and the ground plane. Very peculiar. Let's see. Stands. Main. Yep. Those back in. Be able to go to list and zero it out. I could just reload the track too. That is very much a thing. So go stands, canopy. Stands main. There we go. Let's zero that back out. One thing that's kind of nice about having them all zero oriented, you just have to set it to 0 and there we go. It's already back in place. So let's do the ground plane. So what I'm going to have to end up doing is just turning off the objects so we have just the geometry and go from there. Ground plane. So that should be G. I think it was. Yep, there it is. Load that in. Go to our properties here. Could be in here as Texas ground plane and just zero that out. Okay. Put 0 right in there. Alright, so that's back to 0. Now, what I'll do, we're just gonna load, so let's do draw world underneath. We'll do it this way. And thank you for the follow. Welcome into the Rock Nation. How are we doing? Welcome on into the stream. Anime DJ, let's have to double check on that. How are we doing? Hopefully I'm saying that right. How's it doing? How are we doing? Hope you're doing well. Hello. Hello, friend. Let's see. Alright, so now we just got the geometry. What I was afraid of, yeah, it's not going to show me all the properties to that. Okay. The only thing I have to go by is that. Okay. But what that should be doing anyway, it should be going from this point up to, yeah, okay, I see that now. So it is going to stop just beyond the wall here. It's not going to go all the way to this point. So yeah, this F section here should be still defined as racing surface. Yeah, definitely does. Oh, being bored? Yeah, I hear ya. Gotta love that boredom. Well, I'm glad you stopped down in here. I guess as far as hopefully that will take away from some of the boredom. Observing, nice. No, that's a good place to be, I guess, for that. There's plenty of things to be able to observe in here, and if you got any questions about what I'm doing here, just feel free to ask. But just to put it simply here, we are in the process of building a track. Toasty, Lady Death. I appreciate that, Lady Death. Yeah, so what we're in the process here of doing is creating a track for a racing simulation known as NASCAR Racing 2003, or NR 2003 for short. Appreciate that, host there, Anime. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Hey, we gotta get the word out here. This is where the cool people like to hang out, right? All the cool people like to hang out here. So, yeah, all these lines that we see here are in relation to different properties. So blue lines are walls, green lines are track texture, as far as like track surface texturing and things like that. And red lines are elevation. They control elevation as far as like, creating a hill or banking, things like that. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking at here. Just kind of trying to keep it simple. If you've got any further questions and beyond that, feel free to ask. Lady Death going ham on the wrist slots. Oh, you gave yourself a shot. Did you get anything? Yes, you got 50 units there. Nice. 2 for 3. There you go. You didn't scold the bot yet, so potentially 4. 3 for 4. Is she willing to risk it? I mean, he might just not give you any at all. There was no need to scold. Okay, fair enough. I mean, you can scold him anytime. You can scold him anytime. But if you don't want to piss him off, I guess that's fair too. He will get upset sometimes when you scold him. He doesn't like to get yelled at. So, definitely doesn't like to get yelled at. When I get 2 for 3, I don't. Okay, that's fair. That's a fair play. I can respect it. I can respect it. All right, let me put this back on to. Oh, let me see here. You're on good terms with the bot? Nice. Okay. Fair enough. Let's see here. This is not gonna work the way I was hoping. It's really bugging me that I can't select that. It's clearly in here. The fact that I can't select that to be able to I'll have to look into that a little bit further, I guess. But it clearly shuts off when I turn this off. As far as to draw a world underneath, it clearly goes away. So I know it's an object. I guess it's definitely in there. But why it doesn't want to let me select it or even choose it from the list here? That's pretty strange. But if anything, what I was trying to point out here, this light blue that's showing here, that's only going to go up to where this wall is, which is the green line I have selected there. That's going to define the pit stall, right? So that's really about the only thing that I'm concerned for, is just in this section here for now, so that I can put the coordinates in here for our own pit stall 0, based on this location right there. I'm going to plug in those values for that, as I said, manually, and then to get that closer to where it's supposed to be, and then we should be able to get service. Our pit crew should animate and provide service, I guess, for a vehicle. That's the whole thing. Anime's got some pretty cool emotes there. Nice. Emotes are those. Yeah, which emotes are those? I see they're not sure whoever SCJ is that what that? Yeah, pretty neat emotes. Nice. Some funny ones there. Pretty cool. Alrighty then. I think we're good down here, so now that I've yeah. I should only have to deal with this one segment. I guess that's the point I wanted to make on this one here, is to be able to get our crew, I guess, to animate, to give us service when we hit in our stall, at least during testing. That's the only thing I want to accomplish here. I'm not worried about going all the way down to this end. I don't need to do that. Just in this section here should be fine. I'm pretty sure Torch has probably already taken the initiative, I guess, to apply that to what he's got, and if he hasn't, I'm gonna This is totally his build. I'm just more or less just assisting and collaborating, I guess, as far as with what he's going on. So just to bring more clarity, I guess, to everything is all. Now, what we need to do is save this PTF as it is here. I might need to extend. I think of it here. I'm going to put the apron near pits from here to here, so that kind of fills that all in. So because we're on stall 0, if we go right to racing surface there, that might not the pitting function, whatever, as far as even in testing mode, may not work properly. Going right into a race section here, which is this gray, we want it to be apron near pits, which is this orange. So I'll at least apply that to this for now. This will probably definitely be adjusted, I guess, as we progress from here, but at least for now, for testing purposes here, I want to get that set up that way. So now we'll have a nice transition coming off our pit stall, which is defined as a pit stall, as well as pit road. So when we come out of this, we'll come on to apron near pits, and when we clear this, it'll be, you know, it'll be a nice transition, I guess, from the pit road, as far as all that function goes. Go ahead and lock those back down.
Hit the pace car! Hit the pace car! Hit the pace car! What for?
Yeah, what for? Very appropriate sound redemption, I guess, as far as especially what we're doing here. I guess is creating a racetrack. That's one of my favorite all-time clips, I guess, as far as that. That was one of the custom ones there that's based in the channel point redemptions. If you got the channel points, be able to redeem those. Those are totally available for anybody to use. Be aware, I guess, that they are on a 30-second cooldown. So now the lady that's already played it, it'll be 30 seconds before anybody else can do it. So just be aware of that. So if you're not able, if you're trying to get that to redeem again, that's probably why. And I've done that on purpose there, because I don't need things like that spamming in the chat there. Plus, I want everybody to get a chance to be able to do it. So, okay. Yeah. So what I can do at this point is go ahead and play the textures. What I will do too, that's the other thing, I didn't apply a texture to this new F section I did here. That's why it's showing white. So what I want to do is at least apply probably the one that comes after this, which is Asphalt 02. Yeah, so we'll do that. And it won't really matter as far as what UVs we apply to it, because it's all going to be underneath, for the most part, underneath this model here for the pit stalls. So let's highlight Asphalt 02. I'll just take a note of that. So we want to apply Asphalt 02, apron 2, this one right there. Override that, and just to get an idea, we need to go back to the right. Let's set minimum at 1 and 1 on both U and V. Okay. We'll set these both to 1. Just so we have a texture on there, and it's just not going to be yucky white. That'll probably be adjusted later. That way it doesn't show that white little wedge there. Pretty cool. Alright, so now we got that. So we got our pit stall, pit road defined, as well as our apron near pits, as well as to put our texture on that temporary F section that we have on the edge of our pit stall to define those two areas. We can save this PTF as a new one. And we're going to do this as pit exit. Yeah, we'll just do pit exit. That way we know, give us a little bit of a notation as far as what went on with this particular adjustment to the PTF is all. Save that. Okay. So now we got that part done. Now what we need to do while we're in geometry mode here is we need to get the values down in the bottom right hand corner there. I know that's probably a little bit hard to see, but in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, I need to point here to the center of the stall and then transfer that information to the INI. So in this case, we're going to say an even 216 on the D long, which is this value. So in this value, we're going to change this to 216 216.00. And on the D lat, which is the left and right in this direction, we're going to say about 40.50. So yeah, we definitely had some adjustment here. So 40.50. Now, that's a very rough placement of that. I do have a jig for that, which I don't know if I've got that readily available. I'm trying to think. I don't think I do. I do have a jig as far as a pit jig to be able to place each stall. I'll probably go over that next stream. I don't have that readily available, unfortunately. But I do have it available now that I think of it. This is probably a good, nice little plug, I guess, for the SDS site. I do have it available. I know I've mentioned that other information button that's on our SDS site. So let's go ahead and bring this up here. While we're at it here, let's just go ahead and do this. Let's just a second here. Let's switch this over for a second. I'm gonna bring up our Spline Design Studios website, and it's gonna be a kind of a shameless plug here, I guess, as far as for the website. Let's bring this over here. So at the website, right, you've got this other information tab. I try to put as much information in there as far as everything, a lot of the tools and things that I use, I guess, as far as when I talk about the camera jig and or the pit jig, is all available on this page. So if you come into here, there's a lot of stuff related to NASCAR Racing 2003 season. And if you go to sandbox info, I mean, if you want to download the full game install, whatever, feel free to go ahead and do that. If you get the patch and all that stuff to be able to get the game installed, it's completely free at this point. Anything that we're doing to this is all completely free. Doesn't cost you anything. Just go ahead and download it if you so choose. But what I want to primarily focus on here is this information right here. Anything that I'm going over as far as sandbox, any of the properties that apply to the track based on sandboxes, all can be found in this page right here. And one of the things that you can find in here is this pit jig. Talk about this pit jig here. So we've got this available for you. So it tells you, as far as it gives you, all the as far as where the car and that point that you want to get from that. As far as I just did that very manually, right? This jig takes all that guesswork out of that. So once you place this jig, all you gotta do is point your cursor at that point and copy that. So you'll have the proper spacing between where the car centered in the stall is in comparison to your animated crew. This is the reason for the creation for this. So if you want to get this jig, it's right here. So I'm gonna test this out to make sure it does work, so that just in case I don't. So I'm gonna go ahead and download that. So that should have downloaded. Now, where did it put it? Put it on my desktop if I did it right. So we'll go through this motion here. So if you want to get this jig, be able to apply much the same properties that I'm doing, it's right here. So all I can do is, once you download it, you can extract it. I think I got it in a folder. Yep, it's already in its own folder. So all I gotta do is just extract it here, like so. Boom. And then all these stuff that you need to apply it is right here. So you just go ahead and apply. There's a README in here that kind of explains how it works. So it's kind of going to be, I'll leave it at, I even got a video on the YouTube channel, I guess, as far as that explains it as well, just in case you forget. Yeah, all the information you need as far as to use this tool, this little jig here is included. So we're going to copy this right to our track edit folder in here, and we're gonna go ahead and apply it. So that pit jig, that's all you need. So when you place this as an object, I'm gonna go through the motions here so you can get an idea. So we go to Object View, and what we'll do is go Add Trackside Object, and it should be right here. Pit Stall. No, it is in here. I need Pit Center. My bad. So there it is. Right there, and it's probably may not show right away, and that's fine. We'll have to save it as a new PTF. Perfectly fine. But we do have the bounding box for it to get initially placed. Now we might have to lift it up here a little bit. Let's see here. Put it on fixed. Let's raise it up. It might be here. We just have to raise it up a little bit. There it should be. Might have it too high. Let's go to the camera view. So all this is just The height doesn't matter for it. What really is critical is getting this into position from the top down perspective, right? So it already has the wall with that proper distance that you would want to have, you know, where the car gets situated in center orientation of the stall, right? It already has that proper distance between the wall and that. So it takes all that guesswork out of it. So what we automatically need to do here is rotate this bad boy. I'm going to put this at 1. That's too low. So let's try 1.5. Still too low. Let's try 2. 2.5. Almost there. So 3 was probably just about right. So 2.7. We'll try right there. Now we're going to rotate this around. Like so. Yep. So we want the wall to go against the wall. That's basically what we're trying to do here. So if we move this into position like so. Now the walls on this one here are probably thicker. Now the way this wall is represented, yeah, there's a word. The way this wall is represented is the common thickness of the wall. If yours is thicker, basically all you want to do is this outside edge of the pit jig. You want to line that up to the edge that faces the pit stall. So again, if I go like this and zoom in on it, get an idea here. And what's nice about this, the way this jig works, and because it's an object, I can adjust this. So this way here should be your Y, and this way would be your X, as far as positioning. So what we can do from here is bring this, say, out a little bit. So we want to go 5. That's too much. So you can really fine tune this as far as to get the proper places. So we want the proper amount of clip between this red wall of the jig into our pit wall to get that proper placement that we want based on the center of this X. So, oh, I'm just setting Torch. Welcome back. Yeah, we're just setting up the first pit stall, you know, as far as on that, so we can test it in the sim. So you didn't really miss much. I was just going through the fact that I have this pit jig available on the SDS Spline Design's site in that other information tab. You know, just to kind of a quick review here. This is fully 100% available to anybody that cares to want to use it. It's freely available. You can just download it right from that page. As far as the sandbox page, I got a lot of information here that's useful for things related to building a track in sandbox. So feel free to use that. That's, you know, the short of it. It's as far as what we got in here. And I was just downloading that, getting it into position, and so on. You were just showing your nephew's sons how to play guitar? Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and now I'm just to the point of showing how you can fine-tune the placement of this jig to get that coordinate that you need in your I&I to place those custom install locations. That's putting it in a nutshell anyway, as far as what you missed. I also went ahead and applied, and again, just for testing purposes, I did apply an F section here to define pit road as well as the pit stall, so I can get service once I set this position. So, and that's just for testing purposes here. If you've already done, you know, a majority of that work, I'll just go by what you've got. I'm just doing it for my own purposes. Shook me all night long. Nice. That's a favorite. That's an all-time favorite one. Pretty cool. That's pretty neat. So yeah, that's where we're at. Cool stuff. I like that. As far as being able to show the nephews some real music, instead of all that rap stuff that's up there. All that, it's kind of, I don't know. I won't go there. we know the drill. So yeah, I'm just putting this into position how we can fine tune this here. 3-3, 3-2, 3-1, 3-1-5. That's pretty close right there. So we want the proper amount of clip of this on the jig to our wall. The height doesn't really matter, like I said, because the only thing that we're concerned with is the X and the Y, as far as the D long on X and the D lat on the Y. So we got that into position. Now we have it centered in the stall. That looks pretty good. Now, if you care to want to, you can adjust the Z on it so that it's flush with that, but it's not really as critical. We'll go ahead and do it anyway, just to show the amount of adjustment that's in this tool, in this jig. 6, 2, 3, 3.5. Ooh, that's pretty close. 3.8. There we go. So if you really want to get critical, you can see how much adjustment. This is why I've done it in the form of a 3DO as opposed to doing it as, say, like a TSD. Just for clarity. Haven't started the pit stalls yet, but going to do that. Right. And that's why I'm only doing the one stall. Just so I can test it in the sim and show, I guess, as far as what the process would be in doing that, right? Probably have to do the crowds and the stand, but maybe before. Right. Yeah. Nope, I'm totally with you on that, Torch. Totally with you. All right, so let's... now that we got this into position, now what we need to do is go back to geometry view. I'm going to go ahead and select off of that. So if we're happy with our position here, we can see that we got it relatively centered in here. To get the coordinate in the center of this X, we need to go to geometry view. And now from here, we can get a more precise placement of our pit stall position. We can check what we even put in here previously. So we set it at 216. So now we've got a much more precise one. We've got 215.60. So we're a little bit off on that on our previous. So we're going to adjust this based on what our jig. 215.60. Like so. And then on the D-lat, which is this direction, 41.85. Yeah, so we were definitely off. 41.85. So let's go ahead and plug that in. 41.85. And that's basically how the jig works. You take those coordinates and plug them in there one at a time. And you can, the other thing that's nice about this, in this format for the jig, you can put this in each individual stall, and you can have that jig going all through all 43 stalls and adjust them individually. So you can save that as a PTF and go back, test it out to see. You can set the stall 0 to any one of these stalls based on the INI and check for position. And if it needs adjustment, go ahead and adjust it. You know, redo your coordinates in the INI and test it and so on. I mean, it gives you a lot of flexibility in that fashion. All right, so we're only focusing on this one stall, like I said, so we're not going to go ham, I guess, on this here. But this would be relatively, as Torch had mentioned, this would be the process that we would go through, I guess, as far as to get the pit stalls placed. So what we'll do at this point is save this PTF as, we'll do pit exit 2. We already have it as pit exit. All right, so we'll go save as, and we're going to save this as pit exit B. Okay, just to have that. And we're also going to save the INI, so that has our pit stall. So now when we go into the track with this new PTF and the adjustment to the INI, it's going to put it right where we just placed it, right? And then as we come around, go out of pit road, exit pit road, and come back in. When we get to our stall, our pit crew should provide service, even in testing mode. The animation will work in that fashion with what all we've done there right now. Okay, so that's what we're going to test out next. Okay, so this, I did save this. I want to make sure. Let's confirm that I did save that. That should be in our track edit folder right here. And wait, where did it save that? Hold on a second. Let me refresh that. Did it save? Oh, wait a minute. Did I save that? I don't think it did. So do file, save as. Let me see where that's got that there. So it should be going to that folder. Okay, I guess I didn't save it then. Fair enough. All right, so let's go ahead and save it. I think I checked. Fresh. There we go. Now it's saved. So now we've got that and our PTF, which is the pit exit B, that has all the properties for the pit road and stall and all that stuff. So we're going to need both of these items at this point to be able to test that in the sim. So now I just got to move those over to that. Go from there. So let's go ahead and check this here. Move it over to that proper location. Yeah, so That should be this one here. So let's go. Doing some things on my other monitor here. So all I'm doing is moving those files that I just mentioned over to our game track directory so that we can actually test that in the sim. File. Here. Place. And we also need the PTF. I gotta get the PTF, yep. Don't want to forget the PTF. Making sure I'm getting it from the right one. Not overwriting the wrong one. Okay, and then... Got this one here, so do paste. And then this backup that I did for the previous tester, I can go ahead and purge that. We don't need that anymore. We already tested that's good. This one up that we did for adding our score tower. Yeah, I don't know if you caught any of that there as well, Torch. I did apply that new score tower. And when I say new, it's not textured, I guess, properly, but it has animation, I guess, to show nothing during testing, and it shows it's populated, I guess, during race. I don't know if you missed that or not. Okay, that should take care of. Yeah, that should do it. So that's the two things. So again, this is the review. I've swapped over to our game track directory the track INI, the adjusted track INI, as well as the PTF that takes all that. That's the only two files that we've adjusted at this point. So now we should be able to test this in the sim. You did watch me on the track, so you did catch that. But yeah, so the score tower, yeah, I did get that in here, and I know it's not accurate, I guess, as far as the way it was skinned, as far as all the advertisement and all that stuff on there, as well as the numbers that are on it. I know that's not 100% accurate, but there should be. Now, also probably a fair mention to the way I did this. I guess that's not a big deal. So the way I saved this PTF and I have applied it over to the game track directory, it still includes this jig, right? So I'm gonna have to put those two files in there as well, and that's fine. We can use that while we test in the sim to actually see if it did actually place it where we expect it to be, right? So that's not a big deal. So all I need to do is make sure I put those in there too. Otherwise the track won't load. So that PTF that I saved there was still including, I guess, this pit jig. So that's them two items, the 3DO and the texture that goes with it. So yeah, let's move that over there as well while I'm thinking of these things. So yeah, the fact that we've got pit center, we need these two files over there as well. Okay. Gotta make sure you got everything that's applied to the PTF in there, otherwise when you go to try to test it in the sim, it's not gonna work. I just happen to remember that. Center. And that can always be taken back out. Sure it is. Sure. Paste that in there. Cool. Now let's go ahead and load the sim up here. Get that loaded up here first before I bring that on over. Okay. Get things loaded up, y'all. Alrighty then, that was quick. Alright, so let's do this. Switch some things over. Oh, wrong one. That one. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now all we gotta do, let's test this out in the sim. Shoot, gotta bring the wheel over here real quick. Give me just a second. Bring the wheel back over. Had to get it out of the way while I was working on keyboard stuff. Alright, so let's just bring this over here real quick. And we'll jump right into the sim and do a lap or two. We can see where our position's at. Initially, what we should be able to see is our car in the stall here. So let's go to testing session. We can load this up here. We don't have a picture or a logo to it yet. It's just very simple yet. That should load. Perfect. And this is what I was talking about. The fact that it's showing that actual pit jig. You know, that can be taken out. I'm just saying, the way I saved that PTF, it was still including that. If I had not put those files in our game track directory as opposed to our track edit folder, track would not load. And that would be why. Okay. Alrighty then, so get the wheel on over here. Let's see what we got here. So yeah, there's the score tower still, so we definitely got everything still intact. That was what we applied during this session here. Appreciate everybody sticking on out there, even if you are in the lurking capacity there. Very much appreciated. Glad you can take some time. I guess we'll be able to check and see what we got going on here for Spline Design Studios Saturday. Doing a little bit of track editing here at this point. Let's see. Whoop. It's the one bad thing about cords yet. I still use a lot of corded items here as opposed to wireless, because I'm just tired of changing batteries. If I haven't said that enough before, you're going to hear it again. Alright, so here we go. Let's do some laps on this thing. I think we're ready. Yep. Drive. Alright, so you can see where our pit stall is at now. Let's go ahead and jump out the view there, and you can see we're right where we put it. That's exactly where we put it. Now, what we should see, I'm going to back up here and just simulate coming into the pits here. So I'm just going to back up. So our pit guys are behind the wall. Good sign. Now, if you recall, we didn't have a pit crew at all before I did any of this, and that part of that reasoning behind that was because we didn't have it, the section of the track that I just defined as pit road and pit stall, it wasn't there. So the pit crew isn't going to be there. The war wagon was, but the crew was not. So that's one reason why that was the case. So they should pop over the wall. Should be able to pit, and now they're providing service. With all that being applied now, as we did, now it allows us to get service, and we can check the position of our pit stall. If we need any adjustments from here, we can adjust accordingly. So far, from what I'm seeing, it's pretty good.
Okay, go, go, go.
Now we got animation to the pit crew that we didn't have before. Pretty cool. Nice. Let's go ahead and do a lap or two. Why not? While we're in here. In fact, let me do this here real quick too. Go ahead and cut the background musics so you can get all the sounds. Hopefully the sounds are coming through from the game there. I know it did last time we did this here, so hopefully they still will. My bad. Not what I wanted. We'll just go ahead and reset that. Yeah, so hopefully those game sounds coming over, showing that they are on my ends, but hopefully they're coming through alright. Yeah, I would say it's pretty perfect. Now, what I did notice, Torch, what I was pointing out before, I think the pit wall itself might be a little thick. I know that's a model. In comparison to the jig that I've got there, that's what I go by. That is just another observation I made there. You could probably easily change the thickness of that. I think you might have left it, I guess, at the standard 50 meters wide, or the 0.5, I should say. And it may just need to go to 0.3. That's the only other thing that I mentioned, because that might, as I noticed here, in fact, let me back up here just real quick here. What I noticed is the wheels to the animated crews, putting the tires over the wall, they tend to clip through it because of that extra bulk, I guess, to the wall. Kind of show this here again. So if you want that to clear up a little bit, go to page up. So what I noticed, right, Yeah, see how the guy on the back side of the wall, he's clipping through the wall a little bit? I mean, it's because of that extra thickness of the model of the wall. Well, other than that, pretty damn good. There we go.
Okay, go, go, go.
Do a lap or two around the track here, why not? Why the heck? Here, let's go in this mode. There we go. Whoops. So we still got that light map issue, I guess, as far as the way the parameters on that. This line right here tends to create that shadow on there. That still needs to be corrected yet, but that's... Torch is well aware of that. That will be corrected, I guess, in Oh, baby. It hooks up so well on this end of the track, I tell you. Pushed a little bit. Got out of the groove there just a tad. Got a little high. That's just the way I got the setup. Probably my driving style with this, too. Stay in this dark stuff here. You got to really slow down in this end of the track, as I've said. The more you stay in this part of the track, the more the car will hook up. Then just punch it, I guess, coming out of the exit 2. Gain some momentum going down the back stretch. Really maintain a lot of that momentum coming out of the back stretch, out of turn 3 and 4. Push there a little bit. Probably a little bit more adjustment to the setup, but nothing too major.
1.01.
Stay in that dark spot, stay in that resin. Get a nice grip there. Car really hooks up. Really fun track to drive on once you get a good setup under you. Like to stay like in the middle to low groove down here. Car seems to really hook up here. Likes to push a little bit there, I guess, on the exit, but other than that, it's still pretty fun.
30.727.
Gotta really slow down in this end of the track. A lot lower banking, not as much banking here. But that resin, as far as those areas there, that definitely help the car to kind of really maintain some of that momentum, not lose all of it. Coming out of the dog leg, as far as the front stretch. Like I said, really fun track to drive on once you get a good setup under you.
30.852.
These aren't my best laps either. I'm kind of taking it a little bit easy just to kind of give you a sense of how this track actually behaves, the attitude of it. Really slower on that turn 1 and 2 side, and rightfully so, just based on the way the geometry of the track is. Now we'll come back into the pits. Show you that transition again. Really nice transition off, coming on into turn 4 here. Very smooth. Very hard not to able to make a nice smooth transition off of the track and pit road here.
35.653.
Alright, so we do our pit stop. Oh, too far.
Back up.
And this is another thing I wanted to test there. I want to overshoot it a little bit there. So I got to back it up because I'm not in the zone there that I need to be. Right there. Cool. You can see the tires actually don't clip into the wall. That's good placement there. Don't need too much adjustment there. So other than the guys behind the wall, as far as the way they clip into it when they put the tires over there, the only thing, and that's going to be easily adjusted with that 3D model of the pit wall there is all. Got to do a little bit of repair on my car there because I did bottom out there a little bit. I don't think I scraped the wall. Yeah, I guess I did coming out of 4 there. I guess one of the ones. Taking a little bit of extended pit stop here, I guess, to be able to correct
Okay,
that.
go, go, go.
Here we go. Oh, gotta put it in the right gear, you dummy. Pit guys are like, what are you doing? All right, there we go. So there we have it. So we have that position corrected, I guess, as far as to be able to get pits on. And that would be, you'd have to repeat that same process for every stall, pretty much. That's all that would work. That's all it's to it. So with that, go ahead and switch back over here. I think that's pretty much, honestly, I think that's pretty much all I've got for this rendition, I guess, of Spline Design Studios. That was quite a bit, very productive. Very productive. We accomplished quite a bit, honestly. Made the adjustment to the video screen, which we'll still need to be able to test in a race session, as well as that score tower. We'll have to get some things for textures-wise, I guess, kind of, brought up to date, I guess, as far as the animated frames for the video screen, right? as well as the texturing and the advertisements that are on the score tower at the end of pit road there. But other than that, some really, just fine tuning stuff. It's nothing anything really that major. So let's go with this, and we'll go ahead and switch this back over to our track edit. Where's yeah, switch this back over to our track edits folder here. So yeah, that's quite a bit we've done today, as far as to just adjust some things. Now, keeping in mind whatever, as far as all the adjustments that I made to the PTF, as far as to just get that I just wanted to show at least that process as far as what would need to be done, I guess, to get those all functioning properly. Granted, it would have to be done throughout its entirety of the track, I guess. But the one thing I guess I'm still kind of puzzled about, and maybe you can explain this possibly a little bit, Torch, the fact that... the heck? Oh, I got the wrong... hold on. I gotta switch my... Jeez. Dummy. Yeah, the fact that I've got two keyboards, I guess, to be able to utilize, I guess, both PCs here. I was using the wrong dangum keyboard. So, yeah, so the one thing that I did come into, and I don't know what the deal is with that, the pit stall object is clearly in here, but I'm not able to select it or see it in the list. So let's go to object placement. So the fact that in the list here, I can see pit wall, but I don't see pit stall. And it's clearly in here. I can see it visually, I guess, in the track, but it's not listed in here. And it's like, what the heck's going on with that? It's really weird. So the pit center's in here, so there's the pit wall, but there's no pit stalls. Now I can, like I said, I can clearly see it in here, and it's in the track edit folder, but I can't choose it in the, in this window here. It's like, what the heck? I don't know why that is. I mean, I know partially why it is because all the other objects, like the stands or whatever, are trying to, overwrite it and whatever, but it's not letting me choose it out of the list there, and it's really strange. So the fact that it is in here, here's the object in question. It's clearly in there, right? But it's not in the items list, I guess, as far as the trackside object properties, right? So in this window, it's not listed. I'm not 100% sure why. Yeah, because these are all mostly alphabetic. Styrofoam, video screen, all that jazz. That was the only other problem, and I don't know if that's just something on my end or what, but it's the only thing I have is the pit wall, right? But it does not have it in here, I guess, as far as for the pit stalls. Can't remember if it's the TSD. Oh, okay, that I didn't look at. Didn't even think of that. I was just thinking you had everything as a object, so maybe that's what. Okay, so that might be, if it's as a TSD, that would make sense. But what I do notice here, there's the 3DO in here, right? So if what you're saying, what you did was just use this as a trackside object, let's take a look at that now that you say that. Yeah, because what confused me is the fact that you had a 3DO here, but it's not listed as an object in the PTF. I mean, if you applied the texture for that as a TSD as opposed to using the model, that would make sense. In fact, I can confirm that here now. So if I go into trackside decal view, okay, I think that's what you did. So here's a TSD. Here, let me open up that model for just to clarify. That would definitely make more sense, I guess, as far as what was happening there. Here, let me close this one here, and then let's open this up. I'm assuming this would be the texture you're using. We got to go to there, Texas, and here, and then we should have, go to medium. Should be, and I can confirm that in that TSD view, the trackside decal view. Pit stalls, open that up. So is this the texture for the pit stall? that what we're dealing with there? Okay. So I guess my question is, do you plan on, at this point, do you plan on using the model? Because you've got it in here, as I already opened it there. Do you plan on using that model, or just apply it as a TSD? Currently, as it sits here, you got this pit stalls model in here, but it's not applied to the PTF at all. That's the only thing I wonder. So the way you've got this, let's look at this. So yeah, here's the properties for the TSD. You've got it as TSD pit stall. Okay, so you're not even using that one. You got TSD pit stall. So these are not an object. Okay, so what I've said before, I guess, as far as these stalls being an object, was not true. For lack of a better way to put it. This is kind of a cool idea there too, as far as to do it this way. So this model here that you've got for pit stall is not used at all. And so that'll probably need to come out, I guess is what I'm getting at. If you're not going to use that. These two items here. So you're using TSD pit stall, which is right here. So let's open that texture. So this is the texture applied to the model for pit stall. Alright, so if we open TSD pit stall, that would be this. This is what he's using here, so he's got the lines and all that stuff there. That's pretty neat. So for basically each stall, he's placed those out here. You can kind of see that. If you go all the way down the line here, he's got each one of these placed out as a TSD. That's pretty neat. That's one way to do it, as opposed to applying all the F sections, I guess, in that fashion too. What I've already gone through though is like it will require, I guess, to still put an F section there to be able to accommodate. Let's go back this way. So you're still going to have to put an F section here anyway to be able to find the pit stall. But still not, you know, it's not that big of a deal as far as the fact that you can even put that texture in that F section like I've done and put that TSD over that. I don't see any clipping with it at all, which is pretty cool. So yeah, if we go at it from this view, you don't see any clipping of that. You would never know that's a TSD. That whole thing. It's very clean. Very, 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 very clean. Now, I noticed one of the things that's different between the pit stall MIP. In fact, we can go ahead and open that one back up here. This one here doesn't have any skid marks on it, and the other one did. I don't know if that's something you're going to adjust, I guess. Let's see. Where'd that one go? Where are you at? This one right here. So this one I noticed it did have skid marks on it. It's pretty cool too. So you can see the comparison between the model of the pit stalls and then this as a TSD. One has the skid marks and one don't. Compared tonight. Okay, I appreciate that. That was gonna drive me nuts. I would have probably figured that out eventually, but you would know better since you've been the one that's been building this thing. I think the reason I didn't use the model is because the tires looked like it was saying, oh, okay. That's fair. That's fair. So you would have to apply that tolerance. James knows about this better. He's definitely gone through that process. When you apply something that the car is going to drive on in the form of a 3DO model, there's a tolerance that you have to apply to the Z as far as the up and down to it, so that the tires don't clip through it. So yeah, if you did experience that and didn't like the result of that, this is definitely a good approach to it too. The main thing that we've always shown with applying TSDs, you got to have a relatively flat surface. You don't want to have any contour usually with that and using TSDs, because TSDs you can't manipulate the up and down. You can only manipulate the X and Y, for example, as far as the lateral and so on. You can't adjust it up and down as far as based on height. So that's the difference between using a 3DO and a TSD. So the fact that we have that flexibility, that's how you've been able to get the result that you've got this so far. Whoops, wrong one, no, this one. So that's pretty cool. Hard and night, man. So yeah, I think we're in good shape, I guess, as far as so far. I've been able to go in and test a couple things out in the simulation itself, I guess, as far as things that we've applied to the track that are fresh and new. And at this point, it should be able to progressed pretty well, I think. TSD will follow the surface. Yeah. TSD follow, and like I said, as far as like you need a relatively flat surface to apply a TSD. So you don't have, because otherwise if it's not like at like true zero, say for example, you're going to get a lot of floating of the TSD itself as well, because you can't control that height of it. Whereas with the model, as far as the 3DO, you can. The problem becomes when you adjust the height, even with the tolerance sometimes, so that the tires of the vehicle don't clip. Sometimes the texture of the model itself, or the the model that you're trying to apply, will clip into the geometry. So you'd sometimes battle that sometimes too, even by applying that tolerance so that the wheels don't clip. So far from what I've seen with this TSD, from what I've tried, the only thing else that I would say, and it would work the same way with a model as far as a 3DO is in comparison to a TSD, as far as the skid marks, being able to apply the natural skid marks, that the simulation itself creates when you burn out, as far as the pit stall, or even slide into your pits. There's a difference between doing them one way or the other too. TSD would definitely allow for the skid marks to show in a lot of cases, as opposed to a 3DO. So that's something else taking into consideration anyway. The model can go, yeah. So I'll be sure, I guess, to adjust that on my end, so that yeah. So as we become aware, I guess, as far as things that are needed and not needed, we can just purge as necessary. Very cool, very cool. So where are we at in time? I think that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm good to go, I guess, as far as let me double check and see what we got here for. Over here for a second. You tried the one with the skid marks. You didn't really like it, so I was trying to make, yeah, that's understandable. Sometimes the natural ones that are produced by the sim are better, are just that much better, I guess, than creating fabricated ones, anyway. Very much can understand that. Very, very, very understandable. So, what I'm looking for here is see if I got a potential raid target here. We got some of you lovely folks that are still hanging out here. I'll send you off, I guess, somebody that's... Oh, that did work this time, I'll be damned. Just checking out my stream manager here. Alright, let me take a look here real quick here, and if I do find someone, we'll go ahead and switch over to the raid scene. I think we're good. This was a very productive stream. I like it when they turn out this way. Didn't have a whole lot of complications that weren't resolved, so that's always a good thing. Always a good thing. You mean on a Discord? That's fine too. So I guess yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I guess as far as what the canopies, that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. The canopies, as far as that, probably just a 3DO I need, as far as whatever you've got for that, or if it's a new texture, what have you. And that's pretty much it I can think of, as well as anything else new that you've got, for sure. Oh, for crying out loud. Alright. I'm not worried about that right now. Okay. Alright. Okay. Yeah, just bear with me a few moments, folks. I guess feel free, I guess, to get your last shots, slots, and all that good stuff in here while I'm looking for navigating. It's for a potential raid target here. And once I do find something, I'll switch this on over to the raid scene, and yeah, we'll send it off on a positive note here. What I do want to do, while I'm thinking of it, this always seems to screw up. Things like that. I'm gonna go ahead and run this. Hopefully that works. Alright. Alright, what do we got? I'm looking. I'm navigating. I'm scouting. I think I might send you over to this send you over to Brew Crew. I think that's he's working on dang it. Oh man, scolded about. Oh, it's on cooldown. Rip. Yep, so a lot of that stuff is on cooldown. Rip. Yeah, I think what I'm going to send all you lovely folks is over to a good friend of mine, Brew Crew, whatever like that. I've come to know him, I guess, is through the Farming Simulator 19 realms there. Very cool dude. I think you'll appreciate you having over there. He gets into, I think he's doing a little bit of, he's actually doing some testing on his map that he's done for Farm Sim 19. It's a 16x map, I believe, too. And he does have the map that he's completed, I guess, available. So anybody that's got Farm Sim 19 and wants to get a copy of his map, so you got, here's your chance. So yeah, I'm going to send it on over there. So let's just send over to the raid scene. I appreciate everybody that did drop in for Spline Design Studios Saturday. And enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed. I guess as far as what you had to see, we had the resub, Twitch Prime resub, I guess by Racer James, 31 months. We had Anime come on in here. I hope to continue to see all the new followers, I guess, for next time. I'll be streaming no later, I guess, than next Saturday, I guess, for Spline Design Studios Saturday. We'll probably be continuing work on the Texas Motor Speedway. So hopefully to see you all then. But let me get this raid set up for Mr. Brew Crew. I'm going to put the link out there in the chat. Hopefully just in case the raid does not go through properly. And, okay. Bear with me a few moments, folks, while I move this on over. Oh my gosh. I do hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend. And we'll be seeing you again pretty soon. Bye for now. Later, all.